way back. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We the chosen people, you say no way. Your enemies been teaching you the wrong way. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Do you know your history? Yeah. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Do you know your history? Yeah. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? History.
Now we going back. He done on my back for sure. When I let the truth go, we gon' let them know. My people on my back for sure. I hold them down for the road. The Lord Almighty made me. Laws I got, they changed me. We can see the truth now. Got them looking crazy. Man, I'm always searching. Yeah, you hear I'm searching. You hear me, boy, 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 I'm searching. Yeah. Searching for the road to the way back. We don't know our fathers going way back. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We the chosen people, you say no way. Your enemies been teaching you the wrong way. Searching for the road to the way back. We don't know our fathers going way back. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We the chosen people, you say no way. Your enemies been teaching you the wrong way. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Do you know your history? Yeah. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Do you know your history? Yeah. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? History.
Now we going back. He done on my back for sure. When I let the truth go, we gon' let them know. My people on my back for sure. I hold them down for the road. The Lord Almighty made me. Laws I got, they changed me. We can see the truth now. Got them looking crazy. Man, I'm always searching. Yeah, you hear I'm searching. You hear me, boy, 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 I'm searching. Yeah. Searching for the road to the way back. We don't know our fathers going way back. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We the chosen people, you say no way. Your enemies been teaching you the wrong way. Searching for the road to the way back. We don't know our fathers going way back. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We the chosen people, you say no way. Your enemies been teaching you the wrong way. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Do you know your history? Yeah. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Do you know your history? Yeah. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? History.
Now we going back. He He done on my back for sure when I let the truth go. We gon' let them know. My people on my back for sure. I hold them down for the road. The Lord Almighty made me. Laws I got, they changed me. We can see the truth now. Got them looking crazy. Man, I'm always searching. Yeah, you hear I'm searching. You hear me, boy, 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 I'm searching. Yeah. Searching for the road to the way back. We don't know our father's going way back. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. We the chosen people, you say no way. Your enemies been teaching you the wrong way. Searching for the road to the way back. We don't know our father's going way back. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. We the chosen people, you say no way. Your enemies been teaching you the wrong way. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Do you know your history? History. Yeah. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Do you know your history? History. Yeah. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? History, history.
Now we going back. He done on my back for sure when I let the truth go. We gon' let them know. Searching for the road to the way back. We don't know our father's going way back. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. We the chosen people, you say no way. Your enemies been teaching you the wrong way. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Do you know your history? History. Yeah. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Do you know your history?
Hey, welcome back. You're now tuned into
Our Hidden History radio show.
Oh, man. All right, we're back.
You kept that going, huh?
Yeah, this is a little
Yeah?
thing we
You get to do it.
we
Sound good.
Yeah, you did a good job, man. I was him to be proud of you, man.
Thank you.
But we're gonna continue where we left off. We continued in Babylon. So we left off with Daniel being the eunuchs. That was prophesied by Isaiah to Hezekiah that his seed would be eunuchs in Babylon. And Daniel and the three brothers were in fact involved. They were the king's seed. So Daniel was of the king's seed. He's of noble seed, noble lineage. And those three brothers as well. Okay, that's why they were so close. Looked out for each other. So let's go to 2 Kings 24. And we're going to read verse 6 to 8.
Officer Abaddon, you good today?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no. I didn't give you.
Take a look. It's in our book.
Yo.
Reading rainbow.
Lord gonna fight my battles, man.
Oh, man.
That brother on point today, man. All praise.
God. Ready to
Yeah, I'm terrible, man. Let me go to that page, man. I got thrown up my focus with that song playing, man. 2 Kings 24, verse 6. Go ahead.
24 verse 6?
Yeah, 2 Kings 24, verse 6.
2 Kings chapter 24 and verse 6. So Jehoiakim slept with his fathers, and Jehoiakim his son reigned in his stead.
Right, Jakin state. Go ahead.
And the king of Egypt came not again any more out of his land. For the king of Babylon had taken from the river of Egypt unto the river Euphrates all that pertained to the king of
So
Egypt.
Nebuchadnezzar conquered Egypt. Go ahead.
Jehoiakim was 18 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months.
3 months. Go ahead.
And his mother's name was Nehushta,
Nehushta.
the daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem.
Right. So Jakim died, and then the king of Babylon took over the rivers of Egypt from Egypt. All right. And then his son, after Jakim died, his son Jakin was 18 and reigned in his stead for 3 months. Okay. Jakin or Jeconiah. Okay. He has many names. You have Coniah, Jeconiah, Jehoiakim, and you have Coniah. These are his various names. All right. Get me, what verse is that?
That was verse 8, Deacon.
Verse 8. Stop there. Let's go to, hold on. Go to 2 Chronicles 36. 2 Chronicles 36, verse 9.
All right. 2 Chronicles chapter 36 and verse 9. Jehoiakim was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem.
Right, 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem. That's it?
No.
Go ahead.
And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord.
He was no better than his father was. He was just as evil and wicked as hell as Jakim was, his father. Let's go back to Kings again. Let's go to 2 Kings 24. We're going to start from verse 8 and read to verse 12.
Yes, sir. 2 Kings chapter 24 and verse 8. Jehoiakim was 18 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. And his mother's name was Nehushta, the daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father had done. At that time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up against Jerusalem, and the city was besieged.
Go ahead.
And Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came against the city, and the servants did besiege it. And Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, he and his mother, and his servants, and his princes, and his officers. And the king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign.
Took him in the 8th year of his reign. Go ahead.
And he carried
No, that's
out-
all I want. That's all I want.
Oh, yes.
In the 8th year of his reign. The 8th year of Nebuchadnezzar's reign, he took Jakin and his family captive. His mother, his wives, and his servants. Okay, so Jakin got taken captive with his family pretty much. His mom too. Damn. Let's get Jeremiah 22 now. Jeremiah 22, Jeremiah records this. Jeremiah 22, we're going to read verse 24.
Jeremiah chapter 22 and verse 24. As I live, saith the Lord, though Coniah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, were the signet upon my right hand, yet would I pluck thee thence.
So Coniah is Jakin, or Jehoiakim, Coniah. Okay, it's the same guy. Joachim's son. Go ahead. I will pluck him then. He was my king I set up, but I'm going to pluck him away. Go ahead. Pluck him thence where? Read on.
And I will give thee into the hand of them that seek thy life, and into the hand of them whose face thou fearest, even into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of the Chaldeans. And I will cast thee out, and thy mother that bare thee, into another country, where ye were not born, and there shall ye die.
You're going to die there. Jakin will be cast out along with his mama and his servants and wives to Babylon. Go ahead.
But to the land whereunto thou desire to return, thither shall they not return.
Never come back. Never come back to the throne. Go ahead.
Is this man Coniah a despised broken idol? Is he a vessel wherein is no pleasure?
Yep. Go ahead.
Wherefore are they cast out?
Why are they cast out? Watch this.
He and his seed.
He and his seed, meaning his children. So Coniah had children. This is very important now. Now remember, King Hezekiah's children were prophesied by Isaiah to be eunuchs in Babylon. And of course, if we read in Daniel 1, that Daniel and the 3 brothers were of the king's seed. okay, which is Hezekiah's children. His children, okay, not now. Of course, the king has many children, but one particular child is the one that usually inherits the throne. Now, all the kids inherit the throne, but one particular child out of the children, like David, for example, he had mad brothers, but David was made the king. So Hezekiah's seed, or his children, who were not made kings, but were still the king's children, would be made eunuchs in Babylon. Daniel is of the king's seed, and Mishael, Hananiah, and Azariah are also the king's seed, their family. Okay? And now we're reading about Coniah, or Jachin's seed, also being also in Babylon. Watch this, read again. And they are cast out, he and what?
He and his seed, and cast into a land which they know not.
On Babylon, go ahead.
O earth, 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 hear the word of the Lord.
Earth is man, go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord, write ye this man childless.
Stop. Now, we just read it in verse 28, he and his seed. Then 30 says, write this man childless. Why? Why is it saying write him childless? Because his children will not matter. Because why? They will not ascend to the throne. That's why it's saying write him as childless. It's as if he has no kids, because the king's children continue his rulership. But if they're all in Babylon together, then the might as well count them as him being childless. So it's saying count this man childless. Now this history here is very, very important. Okay, we don't read verse 30 again.
Thus saith the Lord, write ye this man childless.
I'm going to explain why. Watch.
A man that shall not prosper in his days.
Watch this.
For no man of his seed.
No man of his seed, Jachin's seed, go ahead.
Shall prosper, sitting upon the throne of David and ruling any more in Judah.
Right, because the time of the Gentiles, they would no longer sit on the throne of Judah during that time anymore. Until that time is up. Okay? So it says, that's why it says count him childless, because his children are not going to sit in the throne anymore, ruling in Judah. Now, give me 1 Chronicles 3:17. 1 Chronicles 3 and 17.
First Chronicles chapter 3 and verse 17. And the sons of Jeconiah, Asir.
Sons of who?
Jeconiah.
The sons of Jeconiah, or Coniah, Jachin. Go ahead.
Asir. Salathiel is his son.
Salathiel, his son. So these are all Jeconiah's sons and grandsons. Salathiel is the one you want to focus on, of the lineage of Jachin, or Coniah. Salathiel. Now, why is that person important to remember? Give me Matthew 1 now. Matthew 1:11. I would have addressed this in the captivity of Rome, but it would be too far. I'll probably forget by that time. So I gotta go to it now. So you'll know why I'm emphasizing on Coniah being so important, and his mom and his wives and his children being taken away in captivity. Watch this, Matthew 1.
Matthew chapter 1 and verse 11.
Ahead.
And Josias begot Jeconias.
Jeconias is the Greek form of Jeconiah. Coniah, Jachin. Go ahead.
And his brethren.
Go ahead.
About the time they were carried away to Babylon.
Going back to Jeremiah 22. Carried away to Babylon. Watch this.
And after they were brought to Babylon, Jeconias begot Salathiel.
Jeconias begat Salathiel. Jeconias begat Salathiel in Babylon. Jeconias begat Salathiel in Babylon. Go ahead.
And Salathiel begot Zerubbabel.
And Salathiel begat Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel is that same Zerubbabel you read about in the book of Ezra. Okay? In the book of Esdras. 1st and 2nd Esdras, or 3rd and 4th Esdras, depending on how you break it down. Or Nehemiah, I believe he's also referenced there as well. Okay? Zerubbabel is the descendant of Jeconias. And Zerubbabel, the name Zerubbabel itself means born in Babylon. Zodo Babel. Zodo, born in Babel. Born in Babel.
Dang.
Born in Babylon. That's what his name means.
Dang.
So Zerubbabel is of king lineage. But due to the fact that the time of the Gentiles will be established, there will be no one to sit in that throne until that time is up. But that seed will still remain, would still be around. okay, and will give birth throughout the times of the generations, throughout generations during the times of the Gentiles. Now, get me 2 Kings 25. Now, the reason why I'm in Matthew 1 is because Zerubbabel eventually has children, and those children lead up to who? Joseph, the Messiah's father. Some of y'all saying, no, the Messiah's father, that's his stepfather. No.
Right.
His father. You know, the man who shot him out of his balls into his mama Mary. That's what I'm talking about.
That's right.
Are you delusional?
Yeah, yes. I know some of y'all, miraculous. He was born miraculous. Y'all can believe in that paganism if you want to.
Talking about Joseph adopted him.
Right, Joseph adopted him. He's a stepfather. No, that is his father. Because if he was not his father, there'd be no reason to mention Joseph's lineage. Right. There's no reason to say that these are the generations of Jesus Christ and mention Joseph if he ain't Joseph's seed. Doesn't make sense. It does not make any sense. Right. None.
Stop it. Get some help.
Exactly. Where we at?
You said 2 Kings 25.
25, 27. I know I'm going to face a lot of opposition in the comment board based upon that because a lot of y'all grew up and a lot of you want to accept the fact that the Messiah was born miraculously because you want to teach the doctrine that he was pretty much God on earth, and God on earth can keep God's laws perfectly and man can't. And that's your segue of saying we can't keep the laws of God because only Christ could do it because Christ was God and he wasn't a man. He was born miraculously. So he was without sin, and man can't be without sin. Man has to sin, so the law is done away with. I know that's what it all boils down to. That's why people emphasize on that miraculous birth, because it deifies the Messiah. It takes away his manhood. It takes away his human side. When you push the whole him being born of a woman and no man, then that takes away his human side, and that takes away the ability to keep the commandments of God. For man to keep it. So that's the way people say, see, Christ died. Christ is perfect. He was not a man. He was beyond man. So he can keep God's commandments. We can't. So he died on the cross, so we ain't got to keep the commandments. That's what y'all use that for. And I think that was stupid. I know why. I've been in this truth for a long, long time, so I know all that stuff is all slick, cunning ways to push him, to deify him, to make him, miraculous so we can't keep God's commandments. I know what you're trying to do. Doesn't work.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Exactly. 2 Kings 25 and 27.
2 Kings chapter 25, verse 27. And it came to pass in the 37th year of the captivity of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, in the 12th month, on the 7th and 20th day of the month, that Evil-Merodach, king of Babylon, in the year that he began to reign, did lift up the head of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, out of prison.
Joachim was in prison. He was imprisoned in Babylon, and Evil-Merodach came into power and took him out of prison. Go ahead.
And he spake kindly to him, and set his throne above the throne of the kings that were with him in Babylon.
And Joachim gained status while in Babylon, and gave him position. Go ahead.
And changed his prison garments. And he did eat bread continually before him all the days of his life.
Go ahead.
And his allowance was a continual allowance given him of the king.
He got a job. He got money. Go ahead.
A daily rate for every day, all the days of his life.
So Joachim eventually gained status in Babylon. And once he gained that status in Babylon, was taken out of prison, he was able to live his life decently under the rulership of Evil-Merodach and had his children. Which would be Salathiel. And Salathiel gave birth to Zerubbabel in Babylon. Okay? So now, get me, read the verse 30. Read on down. Well, that's it, right? Go to Ezekiel 1 now. So Joachim was taken captive to Babylon. Remember, during Joachim's time, Daniel was taken captive. Okay? During Joachim's time, his father, Coniah's father, Jeconiah's father, Joachim, when he was taken captive, Daniel was taken with him. The king's seed, Daniel and them, were taken along with him. Read that, Ezekiel 1.
Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives of the river Kibar.
Among the captives, it wasn't just him. Go ahead.
That the heavens were open, and I saw visions of God. and the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity.
This is the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity. Go ahead.
The word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel, the priest, the son of Buzai, in the land of the Chaldeans, by the river Kibar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him.
So Ezekiel was taken captive during the time of Jehoiakim's 5th year of captivity. So what book comes first? Daniel goes first. All right? Daniel goes first. Ezekiel's written before Daniel, but Daniel goes first because Daniel's time was taken captive during Joachim's time, and Ezekiel was taken captive during Joachim's time, his son, so it's actually reverse. So Daniel comes before Ezekiel, book-wise, just like Luke come before Matthew.
Right.
Some of think Matthew's first. No, it's not in chronological order. Luke goes first. And there's not 4 Gospels, there's 5. Because Luke wrote Acts too. Some of think Paul wrote Acts. Luke wrote Acts. Therefore, Acts is Gospel too. Because that's the second letter of Luke to the same person, Theophilus. So Acts is Gospel. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that's all Gospel. All 5, not 4, 5. And Luke first. Matthew second, then John and Mark, whatever. If you haven't read all the Gospels, then you won't know the order of it. All right? Luke was the inspiration of God fell upon Luke to get more details than most of the others. So he comes first. I'll go into that, Lord's will, during the Roman captivity regarding how that is. All right? Where we at?
That was verse 3.
Yeah, give me Esther 2 and 5. Esther 2, verse 5. So now you know the chronology of Daniel and Ezekiel, how Daniel, goes first, even though in the Bible, Ezekiel goes first.
The book of Esther, chapter 2 and verse 5. Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite.
Right, so this is Mordecai, a Benjamite. Watch this, verse 6.
Who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity, which had been carried away with Jeconiah, the king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away.
See that? So Mordecai was taken captive along with Ezekiel, or during that time, I'm going to say with Ezekiel, because this is during the 5th year of Jehoiakim's captivity, Ezekiel was taken. So during Jehoiakim was taken captive, Mordecai was taken along with him. Okay, Mordecai was taken along with him during that time. So then we got an idea of who was taken.
Right.
Because Ezekiel, I believe, Ezekiel was a priest. He was a Levite. So you had Levi taken, and then it says Mordecai was Benjamin. So you had Benjamin taken, and Joachim was Judah. So Nebuchadnezzar took the southern kingdom captive, basically. Okay? That's 3 tribes right there. Daniel's Judah as well, king seed, giving you an idea of which tribes primarily were taken. All right? Now, remember, Abaddon had asked me last week, it was Lachish, a land of Dan. It wasn't just Judah.
Right, yeah.
Lachish was Judah's land. Because when Northern Kingdom was taken captive, remember, Simeon and Judah shared land. So when Assyria came against Northern Kingdom, he didn't just take Northern Kingdom, he took Judah too. Because we shared land with Northern Kingdom. So remnants of Judah were taken by the Assyrians too. It wasn't just Northern Kingdom. They took, some of Judah also was taken. Levi was in all the suburbs, so he took them as well. Well, by that time, no. But I'm pretty sure they were taken as well, by them as well. Because the Assyrian kings had conquered southern kingdom cities. So Levi was taken too by Assyria. So remnants of southern kingdom were taken in the larger waves of northern kingdom's captivity. And remnants of northern kingdom were taken that remained in the lands of southern kingdom were taken captive by Nebuchadnezzar as well. All right? In his provinces or whatever. All right? Just putting that out there. So when you read about Jewish captives of Lachish, you're thinking, oh, yes, up by Syria, you're thinking that's northern kingdom. That's southern kingdom. All right?
So the wall relief that we were looking at last week, that's southern kingdom.
That was southern kingdom taken by the Assyrian kings. All right? Because of the wickedness of the southern kingdom kings, Assyria was able to overthrow some of us, but not the capital. He didn't overthrow Jerusalem. That wasn't overthrown, according to the prophecy of Hosea and things of that nature. based upon the promise to David that he would overthrow Judah. Yet. Let's get me where we at?
That was Esther 2.
Yeah, give me 2 Kings 24. 2 Kings 24, verse 13.
2 Kings, chapter 24 and verse 13. And he carried out thence all the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king's house, and cut in pieces all the vessels of gold which Solomon king of Israel had made in the temple of the Lord, as the Lord had said. And he carried away all Jerusalem, and all the princes, and all the mighty men of valor, even 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained, save the poorest sort of the people of the land.
So the poor were left in the land. Go ahead.
And he carried,
those who were deemed less significant were left behind. Go ahead.
And he carried away Jehoiakim to Babylon, and the king's mother, and the king's wives, and his officers, and the mighty of the land. Those carried he into captivity from Jerusalem to Babylon.
Go ahead.
And all the men of might, even 7,000, and craftsmen, and smiths 1,000, all that were strong and apt for war. Even them the king of Babylon brought captive to Babylon.
Go ahead.
And the king of Babylon made Mattaniah, his father's brother, king in his stead, and changed his name to Zedekiah.
Right, so Mattaniah, his father, so he made, so king of Babylon made his uncle, Mattaniah, the king in his stead, and changed his name to what?
Zedekiah.
He changed his name to Zedekiah. Go ahead.
Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal.
Wait, where was that?
Verse 18.
No, stop there. Matter of fact, no, keep going. Read down to verse 20. I have it written like this. Read down to verse 20. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, finish it up. Go ahead.
And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord,
Evil too, like his brother, Joachim, his brother. Go ahead.
according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For through the anger of the Lord it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah, until he had cast them out from his presence, that Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon.
Right, so he rebelled against King of Babylon too. So this guy was so wicked as hell, he rebelled against Nebuchadnezzar, who put him on the throne. Now, let's get So Zedekiah was the brother of Joachim, Jeconiah's uncle. Now give me 2 Chronicles 36, verse 10. We're going to read the verse 19. 2 Chronicles 36, verse 10. We're going to do this pretty fast. I should have wrote down more stuff. Oh, man. All right. Well, I'm going to slow it. Not fat. No, it's pretty. We can make a pretty good time. I got some videos to show. I got some videos for y'all anyway. 2 Chronicles 36, verse 10 to 19.
2 Chronicles chapter 36 and verse 10.
So hopefully you guys are following. Right now, those of y'all have questions, call 267-702-6121. That's 267-702-6121 for your questions regarding what we've gone over so far for the class. You could text that number or you can call. All right. What time is it now?
1:31.
1:30. We're making great time. All right. So, let's read on. Where we at?
2 Chronicles chapter 36 verse 10.
Read on.
And when the year was expired, King Nebuchadnezzar sent and brought him to Babylon with the goodly vessels of the house of the Lord, and made Zedekiah his brother king over Judah and Jerusalem. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord his God, and humbled not himself before Jeremiah the prophet, speaking from the mouth of the Lord.
So Jeremiah was prophesying to King Zedekiah, saying, yo, man, listen, you got to return to the Lord. You're going to get overthrown. He wasn't listening. He was evil. Go ahead.
And he also rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar, who had made him swear by God. But he stiffed his neck and hardened his heart from turning unto the Lord God of Israel. Moreover, all the chief of the priests and the people transgressed very much after all the abominations of the heathen.
They were found behind the kings. Go ahead.
And polluted the house of the Lord, which he had hallowed in Jerusalem. And the Lord God of their fathers sent to them by the messengers rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. But they mocked the messengers of God and despised his word and misused his prophets.
Mistreated his prophets. Go ahead.
Until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people till there was no remedy. Therefore, he brought upon them the king of the Chaldees, who slew their young men with the sword in the house of their sanctuary, and had no compassion upon young men or maiden or men or
Old men.
old men or him that stooped for age.
Or older men, the elderly. Go ahead.
He gave them all into his hand.
Damn, go ahead.
And all the vessels of the house of God, great and small, and the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king, and of the princes, all these he brought to Babylon. And they burnt the house of God.
They burnt the temple. Go ahead.
And break down the wall of Jerusalem.
Knocked the walls down.
And burnt all the palaces thereof with fire.
Burnt houses, set houses on fire. Go ahead.
And destroyed all the goodly vessels thereof.
Go ahead.
And them that had escaped from the sword carried he away to Babylon, where they were servants to him and his sons until the reign of the kingdom of Persia.
Until Persia took over. So. The point we want to deal with this, we left earlier how the poor were left in the land, right? And he took those away captive, burned the temple, burned the walls, burned the palaces, which was homes, burned them down to the ground, right? And Jeremiah prophesied and told Zedekiah, hey, listen, you should turn to the Lord. He's giving you a chance. Turn to the Lord. We wouldn't listen. So go to Jeremiah 37.
And also, Deke, you gotta also king of Babylon. He left the poorest of the land because they have no use to him.
Right. They had no talent, no gifts. It was just a waste of time. They were insignificant to him.
So he'll take the craftsmen. He gonna take the smiths, the men of might, employ them in the armies. You know, so
those
that's
who knew, remember Daniel 1. Those who knew science, those who were wise, knowledgeable, well taught, well educated. He took them. They are of value. Jeremiah 37 verse 18.
Jeremiah chapter 37 verse 18. Moreover, Jeremiah said unto King Zedekiah, why have I offended against thee, or against thy servants, or against this people, that ye have put me in prison?
Right, because he had Jeremiah locked up for prophesying to him what he didn't want to hear. Go ahead.
Where are now your prophets, which prophesied unto you, saying, the king of Babylon shall not come against you, nor against this land?
So he's saying, where are the prophets that told you that Babylon wouldn't come against you? Where they at now? Because obviously they were wrong. He did come against you, and you're serving him. Go ahead.
Therefore, hear now, I pray thee, O my lord the king, let my supplication, I pray thee, be accepted before thee, that thou cause me not to return to the house of Jonathan the scribe, lest I die there.
Get me killed. Go ahead.
Then Zedekiah the king commanded that they should commit Jeremiah into the court of the prison, and that they should give him daily a piece of bread out of the baker street, until all the bread of the city were spent. Thus Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison.
So Jeremiah was locked up for prophesying to the king. Now get the next chapter, verse 1 to 6.
Jeremiah chapter 38, verse 1. Then Shephatiah, the son of Mattan, and Gedaliah, the son of Pashur, and Jekal, the son of Shelemiah, and Pashur, the son of Melchiah, heard the words that Jeremiah had spoken unto all the people, saying, Thus saith the Lord, he that remaineth in this city shall die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he that goeth forth to the Chaldeans shall be saved, for he shall live. For he shall have his life for a prey, and shall live.
Right, meaning, so those of you who rebel against the king of Babylon like your king, you'll be killed. And those of you who realize that we must be taken captive, you'll live. You'll be subject to the king, you'll be a prey, but you'll live. That's what he's saying. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord, this city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. Therefore the princes said unto the king, we beseech thee, let this man be put to death.
Yo, kill this dude. He's speaking nonsense. Go ahead.
For thus he weakeneth the hands of the man of war that remain in this city, and the hands of all the people, in speaking such words unto them. For this man seeketh not the welfare of this people, but the hurt.
This guy's prophesying. He's speaking hate. That's what the Jakes is saying about Jeremiah. He's teaching hate. And he's making the military scared. Go ahead.
Then Zedekiah the king said, Behold, he is in your hand.
Do what you want to him. Go ahead.
For the king is not he that can do anything against you.
Go ahead.
Then took they Jeremiah and cast him into the dungeon of Melchiah, the son of Hamelech, that was in the court of the prison. And they let down Jeremiah with cords.
Damn.
And in the dungeon where there was no water, but mire.
The mud.
So Jeremiah sunk in the mire.
Damn, so Jeremiah was in the mud pit. And he was sinking in it. Go ahead.
Now when Abimelech the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs, which was in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the dungeon, the king then sitting in the gate of Benjamin, Abimelech went forth out of the king's house and spake to the king, saying, My lord the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah, the prophet, whom they had cast into the dungeon. And he is like to die for hunger in the place where he is, for there is no more bread in the city. Then the king commanded Abimelech the Ethiopian, saying, Take from hence 30 men with thee, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon before he die. So Abimelech took the men with him, and went into the house of the king under the treasury, and took thence old cast clouts and old rotten rags, and let them down by cords into the dungeon to Jeremiah. And Abimelech the Ethiopian said unto Jeremiah, Put now these old cast clouts and rotten rags under thine armholes, under the cords. And Jeremiah did so.
Right, to lift them up. Lift them up. Go ahead.
So they drew up Jeremiah with cords and took him up out of the dungeon. And Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison. Then Zedekiah the king sent.
This is going backwards. This is going into how he let up. This is going backwards because 37 tells you he was in the court of the prison. 38 is telling you how he ended up in the court of the prison because Abimelech got him out. Because he was in a mud pit in the prison, and he got lifted out of that and got put in the court of the prison instead. Go ahead.
And then Zedekiah the king sent and took Jeremiah the prophet unto him in the third entry that is in the house of the Lord. And the king said unto Jeremiah, I will ask thee a thing, hide nothing from me. Then Jeremiah said unto Zedekiah, If I declare it unto thee, wilt thou not surely put me to death? And if I give thee counsel, wilt thou not hearken unto me? So Zedekiah the king swore secretly unto Jeremiah, saying, As the Lord liveth, that made us this soul, I will not put thee to death, neither will I give thee into the hand of these men that seek thy life.
Your own brothers. Go ahead.
Then said Jeremiah unto Zedekiah, Thus saith the Lord God, thus saith the Lord, the God of hosts, the God of Israel, if thou wilt assuredly go forth unto the king of Babylon's princes, then thy soul shall live, and this city shall not be burned with fire, and thou shalt live and thine house.
If you submit to the king of Babylon, you'll live, and the place won't be burned. Go ahead.
But if thou wilt not go forth to the king of Babylon's princes, then shall this city be given into the hand of the Chaldeans, and they shall burn it with fire, and thou shalt not escape out of their hand. And Zedekiah the king said unto Jeremiah, I am afraid of the Jews that are fallen to the Chaldeans, lest they deliver me into their hand, and they mock me. And Jeremiah said, They shall not deliver thee. Obey, I beseech thee, the voice of the Lord, which I spake unto thee. So it shall be well unto thee, and thy soul shall live. But if thou refuse to go forth, this is the word that the Lord hath showed me. And behold, all the women that are left in the kings of Judah house shall be brought forth to the king of Babylon's princes. And those women shall say, Thy friends have set thee on.
Your friends got you set up. Go ahead.
And have prevailed against thee.
And overthrew you. Go ahead.
Thy feet are sunk in the mire, and they have turned away back.
Who are your friends now? So Jeremiah is saying that basically what's going to happen is if you don't submit, you'll be a mockery to the women in your kingdom and the men. Go ahead.
So they shall bring out all thy wives and thy children to the Chaldeans, and thou shalt not escape out of their hand, but shall be taken by the hand of the king of Babylon, and thou shalt cause this city to be burned with fire.
Go ahead.
Then said Zedekiah unto Jeremiah, Let no man know these words, and thou shalt not die. But if the princes hear that I have talked with thee, and they come unto thee, and say unto thee, Declare unto us now what thou hast said unto the king. Hide it not from us, and we will not put thee to death. And also what the king said unto thee. Then thou shalt say unto them, I presented my supplication before the king, that he would not cause me to return to Jonathan's house to die there.
Right, don't tell him about what we just said, what we just talked about. Keep it to yourself. Go ahead.
Then came all the princes unto Jeremiah and asked him, and he told them according to all these words that the king had commanded. So they left off speaking with him, for the matter was not perceived.
Right, no one knew what was going on. Go ahead.
So Jeremiah abode in the court of the prison until the day that Jerusalem was taken. And he was there when Jerusalem was taken.
Wow. So he watched all of it unfold. Watched him come into the walls, knock the walls down, besiege it, burn the temple. He watched all of that happen. Watched people getting killed, women being killed, children being killed, elderly being killed, dragged away. He watched all of that go on. That's why he wrote Lamentations. Remember, they besieged us first. So when they besieged us, that means those food shortages. We start to lose weight and start to eat our children. Jeremiah sat back and watched all that unfold because Zedekiah did not listen. And his counselors did not listen. The ones who wanted to kill him did not listen. They got put to death too because they ain't listen.
Hey, Deacon, that's the same thing in Deuteronomy chapter 28.
Yeah, you can get there and get that. Let's get it. And then give me, get that. And we're going to get Jeremiah 39, the next chapter over. And we're going to read 1 to 18. You got a lot of reading. 1 to 18, you got a lot of reading.
It's good stuff.
It's going to be a lot of reading in Jeremiah.
Dick, I wanted to go back to
He's doing good, though. He's doing good.
You doing all right, man. Give him a round of applause, man. Let's get
praise the Lord.
Hey, I'll be honest, man. I like your energy over there.
The IT team is hating. They ain't even giving audience clap. It's the hell with this guy, man. Just drop some bombs instead.
They've been trying to dog it, man.
Yeah, man.
No, Deacon, I just read Jeremiah, so I feel a little more comfortable reading.
Oh,
now.
okay. All praises. Okay. All praises.
I wanted to go.
Damn.
Man, if I can find. Where was we at before 2 Kings 24 or something, 25?
Before 2 Kings 24, we were in Esther, Ezekiel.
Where was it?
We were in Matthew 1, Chronicles 3:17, Jeremiah 22.
Oh, man. It'll come back to me. I'm sorry.
What are you talking about?
No, I just wanted one verse that we read where it said that we despised when the prophets went out to teach the people that Babylon was coming. We mocked them.
36.
36.
Second Chronicles 36.
Yeah.
Let me read it.
Yeah.
2 Chronicles chapter 36 and verse 15. And the Lord God of their fathers sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place.
Right, so that's the Lord telling them to repent and get themselves together.
But they mocked the messengers of God and despised his words and misused his prophets.
Right, so I wanted to say that's what's going on today. Yeah. Like today, that's how we are. We on the streets. They mocking us and so forth and so on. They despising the Lord's word. We tell them to repent before destruction come. It's the same thing that went on here.
Right.
History repeating itself.
Right. And like Jeremiah, when this place is on fire, we're going to watch them burn.
That's right.
Same thing. Watch people burn, old, young, babies, infants, mothers, fathers. They're going to watch you niggas burn. Damn. The same way Jeremiah watched them burn when Babylon came and burned the walls and the temple down. We're going to watch you burn too. Same thing. Same exact thing. Where we at? Jeremiah. You want Deuteronomy 28, right? You wanted Deuteronomy 28? You want to let that go?
Oh, no, you
All right, give me Jeremiah 39.
Yes, sir.
We're going to read verse 1 to 18.
Yes, sir. Jeremiah chapter 39, verse 1.
Well, 14 is the main verse you want to focus on when we get there.
In the 9th year of Zedekiah, king of Judah, in the 10th month, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and all his army against Jerusalem, and they besieged it. And in the 11th year of Zedekiah, in the 4th month, the 9th day of the month, the city was broken up. And all the princes of the king of Babylon came in and sat in the middle gate, even Nergal-Sharezer, Shamgar Nebo, Sar-Shekim, Rabsaris, Nergal-Sharezer, Ramag, with all the residue of the princes of the king of Babylon. And it came to pass that when Zedekiah the king of Judah saw them, and all the men of war, then they fled and went forth out of the city by night, by the way of the king's garden.
So that Babylon got in the walls. They got in. Go ahead.
By the gate betwixt the two walls, and he went out the way of the plain. But the Chaldeans' army pursued after them, and overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho. And when they had taken him, they brought him up to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, to Riblah, in the land of Hamath,
Syria,
where he gave judgment upon them.
Right, so Zedekiah tried to run, tried to dip. His army came and was like, nope, we got you, nigga. Caught him, brought him back, and judged him. Watch this.
Then the king of Babylon slew the sons of Zedekiah in Riblah before his eyes.
So the king had his children killed in front of him. Go ahead.
Also the king of Babylon slew all the nobles of Judah.
Go ahead.
Moreover, he put out Zedekiah's eyes.
After he killed his kids in front of his eyes, he took them same eyes out of his head. Go ahead.
And bound him with chains to carry him to Babylon.
Go ahead.
And the Chaldeans burned the king's house and the house of the people.
And the houses of the people. They burned the houses of the people.
With fire. And break down the walls of Jerusalem.
Knock the walls down. Go ahead.
Then Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried away captive into Babylon the remnant of the people that remained in the city, and those that fell away, that fell to him, with the rest of the people that remained.
And those who said, we give up, don't kill us, who didn't fight back, he took them too. Go ahead. Because remember, we had armies left who fought and got put to death, and those who remained who didn't want to fight, he said, you come with us too. Take you captive. Go ahead.
But Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, left of the poor of the people.
Remember that? Of the poor of the people, those who they felt were not significant. Go ahead.
Which had nothing. And the land
had nothing. Go ahead.
In the land of Judah, and gave them vineyards and fields at the same time.
Made us sharecroppers. You guys are going to stay here and you're going to maintain this land that we now rule over now.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Now Nebuzaradan, king of
Nebuchadnezzar.
Now Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, gave charge concerning Jeremiah to Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard.
So Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, gave charge concerning Jeremiah to Nebuzaradan, the captain of his guard, saying what?
Saying, take him and look well to him.
So the Spirit of God moved Nebuchadnezzar to tell his guard, listen, this guy Jeremiah here, you take care of him. Don't hurt him. Leave him alone. Go ahead.
And do him no harm.
Don't hurt him. Go ahead.
But do unto him even as he shall say unto thee.
Isn't that weird? That Nebuchadnezzar came in, killing our people, murdering, massacring, burning houses down. He said, the Spirit was like, but him, take care of him. Whatever he wants you to do, you do it. That's God working through him now. That's crazy. He just changed his mood like that. He's a killing machine. He stops. Oh, Jeremiah? Oh, no, Jeremiah. No.
I like this guy.
Take care of him. Wherever he wants to go, you take care of him. Wherever he wants you do. Wherever he wants you do it. Go ahead.
So Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, sent, and Nebuchadnezzar, Rabsaris, and Nergal-Sharezer.
Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah.
Rabsaris, and
Nergal-Sharezer. Rob Mag.
You gave them all new names.
Yeah. Call him Robbie. Robbie and Nerg. Go ahead.
And all the king of Babylon's princes, even they sent and took Jeremiah out of the court of the prison.
All the guys that sat in the court and did all the murdering and massacring, they sat Jeremiah with them. Go ahead.
And committed him unto Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, that he should carry him home. So he dwelt among the people.
They put him in the hands of Gedaliah, who is our people, and said, you're over this guy. You're going to take care of Jeremiah. You're the new governor of the people now, while we're, under our rulership. You're the new governor now. Take care of Jeremiah. Gedaliah, son of Ahikam. Keep Gedaliah in mind. He's very important to remember. Gedaliah or Gedaliah. Watch this.
Now the word of the Lord came unto Jeremiah while he was shut up in the court of the prison, saying, go and speak to Abimelech the Ethiopian.
The one that looked out for him. The guy him take out of prison. Watch this.
Saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will bring my word upon this city for evil and not for good, and they shall be accomplished in that day before thee. But I will deliver thee in that day.
So you get delivered for that. Go ahead.
Saith the Lord, and thou shalt not be given into the hand of the men whom thou art afraid.
Babylon, go ahead.
For I will surely deliver thee, and thou shalt not fall by the sword, but thy life shall be for a prey unto thee, because thou hast put thy trust in me, saith the Lord.
Right. So even though you won't be killed, but you will be subject to the Babylon, because that man looked out for Jeremiah when he was locked up. All right. So chapter
that was verse 18.
Yeah. All right. Give me chapter 40.
Verse 1.
Yep. We're gonna read verse 1 to 16.
Jeremiah chapter 40 and verse 1. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, after that Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, had let him go from Ramah, when he had taken him, being bound in chains among all that were carried away captive to Jerusalem and Judah, which were carried away captive unto Babylon.
Right, because he was taken captive too, but the Lord moved the king and said, listen, that guy right there, take him from them. Go ahead. Take him from them. Go ahead.
And the captain of the guard took Jeremiah and said unto him, the Lord thy God hath pronounced this evil upon this place.
How do you know? How does God know? Because God is telling him that through this man. Go ahead.
Now the Lord hath brought it, and done according as he hath said, because ye have sinned against the Lord, and have not obeyed his word. Therefore this thing is come upon you.
His voice, man. His voice.
Go ahead.
Sorry. And have not obeyed his voice. Therefore this thing is come upon you.
Go ahead.
And now, behold, I loose thee this day from the chains which were upon thine hand.
Take these chains off of him. Go ahead.
If it seem good unto thee to come with me into Babylon, come.
Stop. So everybody is in chains. Just picture this. Everybody, Jeremiah's in chains with everybody. Other people around him in chains. They single him out. Take him out. Take him. Y'all go. Y'all keep going. If you know niggas is like, where he going? They're going.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me.
Right.
You're not that guy.
They're going to captivity. He goes, you take his chains off. You don't have to go to captivity. You're free to go. You want to come to Babylon with us? You're welcome to come. If you don't have to go. So Jeremiah did not go to captivity in Babylon. He did not go into captivity. He was spared. Go ahead.
If it seem good unto thee to come with me into Babylon, come.
So let's go. Go ahead.
And I will look well unto thee.
And if you do go to Babylon, you'll be taken care of. Go ahead.
But if it seem ill unto thee to come with me into Babylon,
You don't want to go to Babylon? Go ahead.
forbear.
Don't go. Go ahead.
Behold, all the land is before thee.
The land that's Jerusalem, take what you want. Go ahead, go back home. Go ahead.
Whether it seemeth good and convenient for thee to go, thither go.
Wherever you want to go, you got to go. Go ahead.
Now while he was not yet gone back, he said, Go back also to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, whom the king of Babylon hath made governor over the cities of Judah.
Right.
And dwell with him among the people.
Right. Go ahead.
Or go whatsoever it seemeth convenient unto thee to go. So the captain of the guard gave him victuals and a reward.
Gave him food and money. Perfect. Now there's no reason to do that. But God said, you'll give this dude food and money. Go ahead.
And let him go.
And let him go free. Go ahead.
Then went Jeremiah unto Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, to Mizpah, and dwelt with him among the people that were left in the land.
Go ahead.
Now
so
when
Jeremiah dwelt with Gedaliah, the people in the land. Watch this.
Now when all the captains of the forces which were in the fields, even they and their men, heard that the king of Babylon had made Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, governor in the land, and had committed unto him men and women and children, and of the poor of the land, of them that were not carried away captive to Babylon.
He was over that. He was over Jerusalem now. He was a governor. Go ahead.
Then they came to Gedaliah to Mizpah, even Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, and Jehonan, and Jonathan, the sons of Kariah, and Sariah, the son of Tanhumeth, and the sons of Ephi, the Netathite.
Yeah, that's all right. Go ahead.
And Jezaniah, the sons of Makathite.
Uh-huh.
They and their men.
Uh-huh.
And Gedaliah,
keep in mind Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah. Keep him in mind. Go ahead.
And Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, swore unto them and to their men, saying, Fear not to serve the Chaldeans. Dwell in the land, and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you.
Uh-huh.
As for me,
meaning obey the powers that be. That's what he's saying. Romans 13, Old Testament. That's what he's saying here. Continue.
As for me, behold, I will dwell at Mizpah to serve the Chaldeans, which will come unto us. But ye, gather ye wine, and summer fruits, and oil, and put them in your vessels, and dwell in your cities that ye have taken. Likewise with all the Jews that were in Moab, and among the Ammonites, and in Edom, and that were in all the countries, heard that the king of Babylon had left a remnant of Judah, and that he had set over them Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan. Even all the Jews returned out of all places, whether they were driven.
So Israel ran, when Nebuchadnezzar came, we ran among the Moabites, we ran among the Ammonites, and we ran among the Edomites, hoping we'd find sanctuary there. When we got word that Gedaliah was set as governor over the land, they returned from those places back into their lands. Go ahead.
Even all the Jews returned out of all places, whether they were driven, and came to the land of Judah, to Gedaliah unto Mizpah, and gathered wine and summer fruits very much. Moreover, Jehonan, the son of Kariah, and all the captains of the forces that were in the fields came to Gedaliah to Mizpah, and said unto him, Dost thou certainly know that Baalis, the king of the Ammonites, have sent Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, to slay thee?
So stop. And he said unto them, Dost thou certainly know that Belias, the king of the Ammonites, have sent Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, to kill you? So the heathens sent Jake to come and kill Gedaliah. Okay, Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, was sent by the Ammonites to kill Gedaliah. Go ahead.
But Gedaliah the son of Ahikam believed them not.
You didn't believe that. He said, that's not true. Go ahead.
Then Jehonan the son of Kariah spake to Gedaliah in Mizpah secretly, saying, Let me go, I pray thee, and I will slay Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, and no man shall know.
Let me go kill him. This guy's going to kill you first. Go ahead.
And no man shall know it. Wherefore should he slay thee, that all the Jews which are gathered unto thee should be scattered, and the remnant of Judah perish.
If they kill you, Judah will scatter. Go ahead.
But Gedaliah the son of Ahikam said unto Johanan the son of Kariah, Thou shalt not do this thing.
No, don't kill him. Go ahead.
For thou speakest falsely of Ishmael.
You're wrong.
Damn.
You're wrong about him. He wouldn't do that. Next chapter. 41, we're going to be to verse 18.
Jeremiah chapter 41, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 7th month that Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah,
Here we go again.
the son of Elishama, of the seed royal, and the princes of the king, even 10 men with him, came unto Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, to Mizpah, and there they did eat bread together in Mizpah. Then arose Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, and the 10 men that were with him, and smote Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, with the sword, and slew him, whom the king of Babylon had made governor over the land.
He killed him. See
Damn.
that? Go ahead.
Ishmael also slew all the Jews that were with him, even with Gedaliah at Mizpah, and the Chaldeans that were found there, and the men of war.
So Ammon was rebelling against Nebuchadnezzar pretty much. All right, and against us as well. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that the second day after he had slain Gedaliah, and no man knew it, that there came certain from Shechem, from Shiloh, and from Samaria, even 80 men, having their beards shaven and their clothes rent, and having cut themselves with offerings and incense in their hands, to bring them to the house of the Lord. And Ishmael the son of Nethaniah went forth from Mizpah to meet them, weeping all along as he went. And it came to pass, as he met them, and he said unto them, Come to Gedaliah the son of Ahikam. And it was so, when they came into the midst of the city, that Ishmael the son of Nethaniah slew them.
He killed his own people. Those guys are worse. Go ahead.
And cast them into the midst of the pit, he and the men that were with him. But 10 men were found among them that said unto Ishmael, Slay us not,
Don't kill us. Go ahead.
for we have treasures in the field, of wheat, and of barley, and of oil, and of honey. So he forbare, and slew them not among their
He
brethren.
didn't kill them. They bribed him. Go ahead.
Now the pit wherein Ishmael had cast all the dead bodies of the men, whom he had slain because of Gedaliah, was it which Asa the king had made for fear of Baasha, king of Israel. And Ishmael the son of Nethaniah filled it with them that were slain.
Damn. Go ahead.
Then Ishmael carried away captive all the residue of the people that were in Mizpah, even the king's daughters, and all that remained in Mizpah, whom Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, had committed to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam. And Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, carried them away captive, and departed to go over to the Ammonites. But when Jehonan, the son of Kariah, and all the captains of the forces that were with him, heard of all the evil that Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, had done, then they took all the men and went to fight with Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, and found him by the great waters that are in Gibeon. Now it came to pass that when all the people which were with Ishmael saw Johanan, the son of Kariah, and all the captains of the forces that were with him, that they were glad. So all the people that Ishmael had carried away captive to Mizpah cast about and returned, and went unto Johanan, the son of Kariah. But Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, escaped from Johanan with 8 men, and went to the Ammonites.
They ran back to them, who sent them to kill in the first place. Go ahead.
Then took Johanan, the son of Kariah, and all the captains of the forces that were with him, and all the remnant of the people, whom he had recovered from Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, from Mizpah, after that he had slain Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, even mighty men of war, and the women, and the children, and the eunuchs, whom he had brought again from Gibeon. And they departed, and dwelt in the habitation of Chiham, which is by Bethlehem, to enter into Egypt, because of the Chaldeans, for they were afraid of them, because Ishmael the son of Nethaniah had slain Gedaliah the son of Ahikam, whom the king of Babylon made governor in the land.
So read verse 17 again. Read verse 17 again.
Verse 17. And they departed and dwelt in the habitation of Chiham, which is by Bethlehem, to go to enter into Egypt.
Go to enter into Egypt.
Because of the Chaldeans, for they were afraid of them, because Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, had slain Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, whom the king of Babylon had made governor in the land.
Right, so when he got killed, Israel did as what Jeremiah said would happen. As the guy told Gedaliah what happened, they would scatter. And they fled into areas of Egypt, near Bethlehem and so forth. Because Egypt and Jerusalem are like neighboring lands. All right, so Gedaliah, give me the video. I didn't even send it to y'all. Let me send it to y'all right now, the video.
Deacon, we got 2 minutes before break.
Yeah, okay. Matter of fact, we'll take a break first and I'll play the video afterwards. All right? So just relax. We'll be back, all right, after this break. Shalom Israel, no son Christ bless. Deacon Don here at IUIC Philadelphia. You're tuned in to Our Hidden History Radio, where we go into deep understanding and history of who we are, according to the Bible, hidden artifacts, archaeology, the geography, all you can think of that shrouds around our history of the Bible. We go into it in depth. So Israel, like, subscribe, comment on our YouTube channel, Our Hidden History Radio. See you then. Shalom, no son Christ bless.
Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Do you know it? History.
Oh, so many mistakes I done made in my life. And these chains on my brain got me going insane. I got left cause I didn't know right. Don't do it for fortune and fame. For the Lord we enduring the pain. And I'll praise to the Father, He's showing us mercy. But you play with life like a game. But I blame myself for my downfalls. And I just been praying that you see the light whenever I'm around you. I hope that it's bright and shines in the night. I hope that you find yours. Focus and don't let your crown fall. Put my trust in the Lord throughout all. Lord's willing, I'm found without flaw. Understand it. Anybody out there, I am stranded. And I'm damaged. Anybody out there, I am stranded. And I need help. So I lean on the scriptures and seek out the kingdom, the spiritual wealth. And nobody knows me the way that I know me, I'm working on self. That sinning is bad for my health. Thank the Lord that I'm part of the 12. Take a look at how far we have fell.
I like how we abandoned everything the Father done, can't understand it. How far we fallen, to where we landed. I'm praying that they let me go, am I here stranded? Like, cause the crazy things we do. Meditate on things that change my mood. Take it day by day, he's coming soon. Every day, gotta survive, I could die today. Not on my mind, gotta meditate. But I'll be fine if I find a way. Cause I've been trying to get better, switch up my options. To get far away from where I've been. And jump to the end, I ain't stopping. Out here it's too cold. I'm stranded, I'm all alone. I don't know anywhere else I could go. Cause I like how we abandoned everything the Father done, can't understand it. How far we fallen, to where we landed. I'm praying that they let me go, am I here stranded? Like, cause the crazy things we do. Meditate on things that change my mood. Take it day by day, he's coming soon.
Lord, forgive me for the things that I do. Stuck feeling stranded without no vision of you. Where would I be without you? Don't find no ease without you. I've been deceived without you. It's all on me to find you. Got here with them trials, now I gotta face it. Saying come through on a regular basis. Different color, all them different than faces. Everything trying to take away my greatness. Oh Lord. Oh, oh, oh Lord. Yeah, can you tell them like
how we abandoned everything the Father done, can't understand it. How far we fallen, to where we landed. I'm praying that they let me go, am I here stranded? Like, cause the crazy things we do. Meditate on things that change my mood. Take it day by day, he's coming soon.
Yeah, here we go. Turn me up in my headphones. Yeah, look.
You are now flying.
Look. They don't want the smoke, now they don't want the smoke. They don't want the smoke, now they don't want the smoke. They don't want the smoke, now they don't want the smoke. Been about the power, you can my Capcom. And if he got 2 readers, it's just like he busting 2 guns. Y'all falling out for suckers, and that's why y'all look like dum-dums. And if you speak in Hebrew, then just know we finna quan. We Debo, teach your block like Nino. This shit been lost, we finna fish. I guess we find it Negro. Y'all be faker than placebos, throwing shots like Tebow. And if we ever take a shot, just know that it's a free throw. It's a free throw. They don't want no smoke now. They don't want no smoke. They don't want the smoke now. They don't want the smoke. They don't want the smoke now. They don't want the smoke. Been about the power. You can call me Ghost. Tryna stop with me, boy. What you thought this shit was sweet, boy? We be teaching like Messiah. Give me that and Obadiah. He gon' set this place on fire. Then come set up his empire. They be high wearing wires, switching up like this survivor. I'm a soldier. Bible on my holster. I wanna build you up, but if you stop, then I'm a bolger. But I'd rather keep it kosher, like I told you. Give all praises to Jehovah. Frankincense on my aroma. Meditate while we take over. We take over. They don't want the smoke now. They don't want the smoke. They don't want no smoke now. They don't want no smoke. They don't want the smoke now. They don't want the smoke. Been about the power. You can call me Ghost. They don't want the smoke now. They don't want the smoke. They don't want the smoke now. They don't want the smoke. They don't want the smoke now. They don't want the smoke. Been about the power. You can. 144 Thanos. Woo snapping till chains broke. Warrior mode like Django. Build a kingdom like Lego. Vanity, vanity, what was all vanity? Lord, give me power to burn all my enemies. Vanity, vanity, what was all vanity? Wisdom like Solomon, fight like the Maccabees. They don't want no smoke now. They don't want no smoke. They don't want the smoke now. They don't want the smoke. They don't want the smoke now. They don't want the smoke. Been about the power. You can call me Ghost.
What club was that at?
That was admit that a lot of people don't even realize they.
I've called her. She hasn't responded. I've called her more than a few times.
But the Zulu Nation, I'm like, what the hell is this? I know nobody know what I'm talking about. You'll leave me on the island by myself. I don't know what the hell Bishop's talking about. That's what y'all do. Then after class, yeah, I knew what you were talking about. I just don't want to be caught out there. The hell is this? Get on my damn nerves. So read that.
Good vibes in the area. Well, man, I fight from the start. I mean, no carry grudge in the art. Hatred make you turn for your people. Wise up, I feel be smart. DJ, turn up the vibes from the start. Ring tune, pull it up, celebrate cause we no carry grudge in the art. We no carry grudge in the art. Everybody feel right, right. Good vibes in the place all night. Cause we don't carry grudge for people. We don't have time for your study, no evil. Don't make them catch you with the bad energy. Smiling on your face, but me I tell like them my enemy. How many times you try to cure them? I fi cut them out, that are the only remedy. Everybody go through things. We not perfect, so we don't do the blame game thing. Know this trial's gonna come one day. I fi endure, adapt me a sing. Any function must clean, then step out, peel out, jump in a car, tire screech out, GPS it off, put in the route, dream team, touch the scene, everybody scream out. Wait up, turn up the vibes from the start. Ring tune, pull it up, celebrate cause we no carry grudge in the heart. We no carry grudge in the heart. DJ, turn up the vibes from the start. Ring tune, pull it up, celebrate cause we no carry grudge in the heart. We no carry grudge in the heart. Energy them not real, them a fake. Cut the grass low so we get to see this snake them. Pass the cutlass, give me the ring. A long time I don't tell them say the whole of them a fake. Them can't hold me down, cause it's a party night. Good vibes in the air, tonight me feeling right. But I'm not hypocrite, but I'm not parasite. Them just show themselves for day, but them come out tonight. Them a vampire, I run from the light. Them just remember every day, them spirit no right. Them a combine evil, too much idle time. But whatever in the dark, I feel coming a light. Turn up the vibes from the start. Ring tune, pull it up, celebrate cause we no carry grudge in the heart. We no carry grudge in the heart. DJ, turn up the vibes from the start. Ring tune, pull it up, celebrate cause we no carry grudge in the heart. We no carry grudge in the heart. Them no really smile heart full of be perfect. Israel never quit. Be purged in the fire, so me tell you this. Turn up the vibes from the start. Ring tune, pull it up, celebrate cause we no carry grudge in the arm. We no carry grudge in the arm. DJ, turn up the vibes from the start. Ring tune, pull it up, celebrate cause we no carry grudge in the arm. We no carry grudge in the arm.
All right, we're back. We're back from the break. Back from the break. All right. Give me the video. I told y'all to keep Gedaliah in mind. Gedaliah plays a very pivotal role in this video we're gonna watch. Not this one, but the next one. This one's shorter. So give me there's a guy named Harry Rosenberg. There's a rabbi. Now, some of y'all are familiar with him. Some of y'all are not. The second video I want to show first, him sitting at the podium. That one's hilarious because as he's speaking, you have people leaving the room because he's upsetting people. All right, not that one. The next one, the one under it, because that one people start leaving. You hear people leaving the room because they're very upset by what he says. Let's play it. Hopefully, you got a disclaimer. It's YouTube. I don't know why we get blocked from playing this. It's a YouTube video. But let's see what happens. Put a disclaimer up. Let's try to watch it. It's only 4 minutes long. Shout outs to Captain Joel, man, who couldn't make it, man. Shout outs to you, bro. I hope you get better. Hopefully you find the outbreak monkey in your closet.
Damn.
That keep getting you sick, and you get rid of him.
Get well, Cap.
Outbreak monkey on his house.
Damn.
There we go. Go ahead and play. Yeah, go ahead.
And I'd like to now bring up another interesting place that you're finding descendants of the Israelites, but may not necessarily be from the 10 tribes, but will also play a role. And it shouldn't be overlooked. It's a very serious scenario. Is in Africa. Africa has perhaps hundreds of millions of people with this identity.
Now you gotta pause this
of being
because
from the people.
you can see his body movement. He looks very nervous because he's in front of his own people here, and he's explaining that there's Jews, not necessarily from the 10 tribes, but there are in fact Jews in Africa. Because remember, the Israelis, the so-called, as we call them, whenever you come across a black, an Israelite that's black or dark, they'll automatically associate them with the 10 tribes. The 10 tribes are lost, and they mingled everybody in Judah. We're Judah. We're the Jews. Jews means Judah, as in Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. All these guys, and there's not one single European yet that's claimed the tribe of Ephraim or Naphtali, not one. All of them is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Levi, Kohen, all these weird Judah, Yehuda, all these guys for some reason is Southern Kingdom. There ain't no Northern Kingdom around. So since the Northern Kingdom is scattered and lost and everywhere, that means that they're possibly they got dark messing with dark nations, but Southern Kingdom remain pure white. That's what they push. Because the king,
shut your mouth.
Right? Because the king's line is where the white folks is at, but the Northern Kingdom is just the black scattered ones. That's what they say. So he's saying here in this video that not necessarily are the Jews of Africa just the 10 tribes, but in fact Southern Kingdom, which goes back to being Judah, Benjamin, or Levi. Watch, let's go.
It's funny you say that, Deke. See how as soon as he said that, he said it's in Africa.
Right.
Like you got that little
Yeah.
delay. Yeah.
Yeah, he's scared. You're going to hear people leaving in the background. He's got to pay attention. Go ahead.
Of Israel. Does that mean they were from the 10 tribes? Likely not. We were taught by the historians and within our own traditions that when the Romans conquered Judea, a few hundred years after that the tribes of Israel went into exile, perhaps millions of Judeans were sold into slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Into Africa, into Rome, deep into Africa. And if you look,
you can see it. He's like, oh, Africa, Rome. He's terrified because he's basically making it clear to the people in the room. He's a rabbi. He's making it clear to the people in the room that the Jews are black. Because these guys have been arguing with us for years in the streets, period. And he's saying their own scholars or their own writers of their own books make it clear that the Jews are sold by the millions into slavery into Africa and Rome. That's what he's saying. So they can't deny what he's saying because it's in their own text. We have their text. Continue.
Now, you're seeing people who are most likely the descendants of those slaves who kept true.
Right.
I'd like to bring up a few specific examples because they're going to be game changers.
The ones that they acknowledge. He's going to list the ones they acknowledge as descendants of those Jews. He mentioned that were sold into slavery, that fled further into Africa. Go ahead. Go ahead.
One of them wrote letters to Israel when it became a state. And they said, we're Israelites out in Africa.
Pause. Because you have something called the law of return that these guys had established, the law of return, where Jews can return to the land and claim parts of land if they're the Jews. So our people who are in Africa, worshiping the white man as we always do, we said, oh, well, we're Jews too, because they were keeping traditions that held to them being Jews. So they reached out to the so-called Israelis, all right, and said, we're Jews like you. Go ahead.
Everyone laughed at them, and they said, African Israelites.
Pause. Everyone, as in white people, laughed. Everyone laughed at them as in so-called white folks laughed at them. Go ahead.
Just trying to jump on the first world country bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
They're living in a third world country. They got nothing. We're coming to Israel. We got innovation, technology.
From America.
So they're trying to get on this train because there's such a thing called the right of return.
There you go.
All descendants of the Jewish people from around the world were able to move to Israel. So they said we are also. And everyone kind of laughed at them, like I said. And a few people took it serious and went out there and started studying them, learned about their culture. And a professor from Duke University went out there and did DNA testing on them. And he showed not only do they share Semitic genes from people who were in Yemen and back to the Middle East.
Pause. Because our forefathers fled to Yemen. Yemen, if you examine a map of Yemen, it's right across the sea from Ethiopia. It's literally right across. They're neighbors. They're neighboring. So our forefathers were in Yemen, and they migrated over into Ethiopia from Yemen. Okay, I'm going to be going into that in the Lord's will later on in the series regarding how that took place. The Yemenite Jews, the real ones, not the Arabs ones, or not them, but the real ones, were there. Go ahead.
These gentlemen, a large percent of them, have the Y chromosome to be Kohanim, to be priests. Now, if anyone who doesn't know, a priest is a specific family clan of the nation of Israel who come from Aaron, the brother of Moses, who was the first priest. And anyone descended from Aaron has the status title priest.
Pause. Now, this is why a lot of you idiot Negroes go with this chromosomal scientific stuff. They're saying that these Africans have a Y chromosome that basically is found in the Aaronic family, or the line of Aaron's sons who were the high priests. They gained high priesthood. It switches between those two sons, all right? Like Eleazar and I think Eleazar or somebody else. But thus the high priests, all the high priests descend from Aaron's sons and his sons' sons. These bastards here, they claim that they had that chromosome too, that they come from Aaron. So basically, if you to be of Aaron's lineage or have tied to that, you must share the same chromosome, Y chromosome, as they do, to be Levites, Levi. So are you dumb niggas saying, oh, E1B1, just have the E1B1 gene to be Israel? You simple as hell. Because the same ones that push that E1B1 stuff are claiming they have the same genetic makeup or DNA as Jacob's sons, Aaron. Or Levi's sons, Aaron, whatever. And therefore, if you share the same DNA as these guys do, claim to have, that comes from Aaron, which is a lie, then you're a Jew. That's nonsense. But you got Jakes that run with that. Oh, the certain gene, the E1B1, only Jake has it. Like, okay, so that means these guys is Jews then. Continue, man.
And we found that these men in this village in South Africa called Lemba, L-E-M-B-A, carry this genetic marker to let us know that they share the same as from the Sephardic and the Ashkenaz and
Pause. You see what he said? They share the same DNA makeup as the Sephardic and the Ashkenaz. And those are not God's people. Now, if he's referring to the original Sephardic Jews, which were the Jews and Moors that conquered Spain, that became Sephardic, then yes, they share that. But these guys are not those people. They are the converts of those people that were there first when we had them as our slaves while we were in Spain as the Moors and Jews. That's what they were. And when we got conquered out of Spain, they were allowed to remain there and were punished lightly compared to those who were punished harshly, which was us, being killed or enslaved within the land, sold out of it, or chased out of it into the hands of the Turks, which were Muslims that were heavily involved in the trans-Saharan and Atlantic slave trade. Okay? So once again, this guy is saying that the Lemba of South Africa share the same chromosomes as these Ashkenazis and Sephardics, modern day Ashkenaz and Sephardics, which is a lie. That's why the only genetic marker we go by is God's curses.
That's right.
Because those curses are going to be upon our people forever. Generational curses. Not scientific curses, generational curses. In the Bible. In the Bible.
Right.
Not in the lab. Not taking a Q-tip and swabbing someone's tongue around and going, oh, you're the same spittle as this guy over here, as Levi over here. No, that ain't in the Bible.
50% European, 9% Spanish, all
Nonsense.
that nonsense.
It's BS. Continue.
Population of the people in Israel today, they share the same exact DNA marker.
We do not.
It's mind-blowing.
Well, you know what? Pause. We do if you go by Jacob and Esau. then there's some genetic makeup similar because we have the same parents. So in that respect, yes. But in terms of them having Israelite genetic markers, no. Go ahead.
Kind of got humbled a little bit. Who laughed at them and said, "Now what? Now what do we do about this? This could have."
Now pause. One more thing. These same scientists that found this genetic traits of similar genetic traits between the Lembas and them, Ashkenazi, their same scientists also found them same genetic traits between them, Ashkenaz, and the Khazars in the mountains. The Khazar, they found that too. The core of Ashkenazi is Khazar origin. That's found in their books too. That they won't talk about. But they'll talk about, oh yeah, them niggas over there, Lembas over there have our same spittle, the same spitting gums, yeah. You can't be serious. Go ahead.
Tremendous implications. Another area in Africa you have something big happening is in Nigeria. You have the Igbo people, or Igbo.
Now pause. Now we all know full well the word Igbo comes from Hebrew. We went over this before. That's where the term Iberian Peninsula comes from. Iberia, that's from us. Ireland goes back to Hibernium. Hibernium, that's us over there. That's all Jake. All right, we're gonna get into that Ireland stuff too. We're gonna get heavy into that. In Britain, we're gonna get into that too. But the Igbo people are definitely Jakes. All right, continue. So you have South African Lembas, and you have West African Igbos. Go ahead.
Pronounced either way. There's 40 million of them. Also Christians, like I spoke about before, how that could happen to the children of Israel very easily. But also a lot of them are now coming out and converting back. Or
now, pause it. You know, say heavy about that. He said, which can happen to the Jews very easily. What can happen to them? Christianity. How did Christianity happen to them? Ain't that part of the Jew culture? Being Christian? So how did Christianity happen to them? Because it's not of God. That's what he's saying also. You gotta read between the words. That's pagan too. Saying it's paganism is what he's saying.
White supremacy.
White Christian, they were Christianized. The South African Lemba, who observed Judaism, a lot of them are Christian over there. A lot of the Igbos are Christians over there because we talked to them over there. Go ahead.
Adopting the rules of the Torah without all the paganism that they've been practicing for hundreds of years.
See?
There's been books written about it from scholars in Nigeria, from scholars from the Jewish people, And where it gets interesting is, in America, there was a slave trade.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the slaves, a very high percentage of them, came from Western Nigerian ports. And in America today, you see a very large movement of African Americans who say that they're the real chosen people, that they're the children of Israel, they're the Judeans. You know, so what are they just trying to create an identity for themselves because they were slaves, or is there really something here? And the answer is, most likely there is something there. And most likely, maybe that they were the original Israelites, and maybe that the Jewish people today who are white, Caucasian people came in a little bit later on.
Pause.
We know
What's he saying? He's saying we're not them.
Yeah.
We came later. But maybe they are the Jews. Maybe they are Israelites, and we came a little after. You did. You came thousands of years after. You came during John Hyrcanus' time. You came with the Antipater. You came during that time, John Hyrcanus. You came during the 800, 900s. Cajun Bullen, Cajun Obadiah. You came under those Khazarian kings. That's who y'all came under.
Right.
Until the Mongols came and kicked your ass and pushed you out of the land and forced you to go into areas of Russia and Germany. And Poland, where you became sheep herders. And then Hitler came along. And, did more after that. So again, he's saying what he's basically saying without saying. That's what he's doing. Go ahead.
know that some of the greatest sages of the transmission of the Torah were converts from Rome.
See the chance movie moved? People are leaving.
We have a man named Unclus who wrote a commentary on the Torah, unprecedented, that we still learn today. He was a convert. Some of the largest pillars on the transmission today were Roman converts. So here we are, we're Caucasian Jewish people.
See?
Wow.
Caucasian Jewish people.
Dang.
Like how they call us black Hebrew Israelites?
Right.
They're Caucasian Jewish people.
Yeah, that's good.
my man in there by himself right now.
He in there by himself, man. It's a tough crowd. Tough crowd.
Holding it down.
All right, 2 claps.
Congratulations. You
Played yourself.
He says his family clapping.
Right. Continue. Is that it?
And now you have people in Africa saying that they're the real people of Israel. It can't be ruled out at all. We know they were sold into slavery. We know now that they're fulfilling prophecies by saying, we're coming back.
Wow.
There you go.
And
So, I mean, listen, if you don't believe me, hear from him. You know, Negroes love the white man to co-sign, we say. Now, there's more. So let's go to the next video with him talk. Let's go to the Igbo-Israel connection. With Rosenberg, we're gonna stop at 4:54. It's a lot of video. Hope they don't cut us off. But I gotta play it. Now, this video, you see how scared and how apprehensive he is in the first video. He's around his own people. I want you to see how he asserts himself with this brother here in this video. Watch the difference. Watch the tone. Watch. Let it play from the beginning.
Hello, here we are in Jerusalem. I'm Harry Rosenberg, and this is Remy Ilona. Remy has traveled here from Nigeria, well, really from Florida. He studied at the Florida International University, but he comes from Nigeria, from the Igbo tribe, otherwise pronounced Igbo. And Remy's a scholar, was a lawyer in Nigeria, and dropped what he was doing to research the legend or the tradition in his tribe that they actually come from the, I wouldn't use the word the lost tribes of Israel, but I will, the lost tribes of Israel, from the scattered Israelites.
Pause. They're not lost tribes of Israel. They're just, lost tribes denotes them being part of the 10. Found denotes the 3, which these so-called claim to be part of, without any evidence of any kind, aside from their BS science. So he's saying, I don't want to say lost tribes, but I will say it. No, you shouldn't say it. We're not lost. We're very much found. But let's continue. Go ahead.
2,000 plus years ago. Remy has done a lot of research and written a few books on the topic. The Igbo people number, I think, about 40 million people, so we're about to have a conversation, and I think it will get interesting. So you're saying that the Igbo are from the tribes of Israel. Now,
Yes.
Are you saying this, or are the people on the ground in Nigeria also saying this?
Every Igbo says that the Igbos came from Israel. The 40 million Igbo people say that they came from Israel. And an opinion poll has been done
Daniel Lees, who earned his PhD studying the Igbos, who worked at the University of Basel and the Tel Aviv University, conducted an opinion poll.
No, stop. I'm sorry. You're going to stop at 222. Where you at?
114.
Yes, keep going.
Viewed 500 Igbos, some in Nigeria, some in Europe, some in America, some in Israel, and 497 say that they believe that Igbos came from Israel, and one said that he has had it, but that he doesn't believe. Two said that they don't believe, but they spoke further, and it was clear that why they don't believe is because they have the wrong notion that there are white people and the black people in the world, and they wrongly believe that the people of Israel are white. They didn't know about the existence of the Ethiopian Jews.
Pause. So he's saying some didn't know that there was black and white Jews. What he's saying, which is a lie. There are no white Jews, unless of course you have people who look white that are Jews, which is possible. But he's in terms of them as a whole, the Israelis as a whole, no, they're not Jews. All right. So he's saying that our people, most of us believe that they come from Israel. Some didn't know that we were Israel at all. Go ahead.
Also, did not take cognizance of the fact that a lot of Igbos could comfortably fall into the category of white people from their complexions.
I understand. So time out. This is pretty fascinating. You're saying that there's 40 million people in Nigeria who have an identity that they come from the house of Israel, from the people of Israel.
Yeah, who also have oral traditions to back it up, and whose lived experiences are unquestionably Jewish.
Pause. So he's saying that they have all traditions to back it up because they maintained Judaic customs and culture for a long time to prove that they were in fact Israel. Is that it on that? Jump to 551 now. We're gonna end at 749. We're gonna stop at 749. Yeah.
Continue to live it.
And this is obviously what your books speak about a little bit.
Yeah.
I think on the title of your book you said the largest Jewish diaspora.
The Igbos and Israel, an intercultural study of the largest Jewish diaspora.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Okay, so we can move on a little bit now. Now, you and I are having this conversation. Does anyone else in the world know about this? I recall, I'd like to bring up, we were at a university together, actually at a scholarly conference, where there was professors there from Hebrew University, Tel Aviv University, University of Utah, and this conference was specifically designated to talking about the Igbo-Israel connection. We both spoke at this conference. How did you feel about that conference?
That conference was very, very good because it was an opportunity for people in academia to have access to what we call primary sources.
Pause. So this guy's an author of books. He has access to primary sources. We have access to primary sources on the show. Right. The reason why he was allowed to speak among those people is because he also has been convinced that there's white Jews and black Jews. We know that there are no such thing as no white Jews. These guys are imposters. He has been converted into the belief that you can be a white or a black Jew. That's why he was allowed to speak there at all. And was allowed to speak there because he's not going to present the fact that these guys were converted in the Dark Ages around 800, 900 AD by the Jews that resided among them in Europe. When we fled from the Holy Roman Empire, we ran from the Holy Roman Empire into Khazaria because they were neutral. Because you had three major empires at that time. You had the Christian, you had Muslim, and the Khazars in between. Khazars in between, Christian here, Muslims here, fighting each other. The Khazars were like, we ain't following either one. We're going to be pagan. We doing our own thing. So where did the Jews flee to? The Jews couldn't be among the Muslims. The Muslims are going to force them. They're going to be among Christians. Christians will force them to be Christian. So they ran into neutral zones among the Khazars. And the Khazars allowed you to be liberal and be as you are. So when the Jews were living among the Khazars and they saw we lived there, they said, hey, we want to follow that. So the king, Cajun Bullen, looked this up, common knowledge. Cajun Bullen said, I want three men to come here. I want a Muslim to come here, a Christian and a Jew to explain to me which religion on the world is true. And whichever one can be proven to be true, I will follow it. I will convert my kingdom into following it. So he spoke to a Christian, he spoke to a Muslim, and the Jew had a debate. And he realized that both Christian and Muslim get their religion from one source, the Bible. Judaism is the father of both. So he said, you know one thing, if that's the case, I won't follow either one. I'll follow the source. I'll follow Judaism. And thus they converted. When Cajun Bonner had children named Cajun Obadiah, Cajun Manasseh, they changed their names. And then the Jews that fled into Caesarea, a lot of them came from Babylon. So they ended up adopting the Talmud also. The Babylonian Talmud was brought there also. So the Khazars were introduced Judaism and Babylonian Judaism. That's why they uphold the Talmud today. Because our people from Babylon, Iraq, fled there. Because the Roman Empire took over Iraq. And we fled into Caesarea, into Europe, the Black and Caspian Sea, and converted them over there. And you know what Jake always do? Jake always want to share our knowledge of nations. Because our thought was, I brought this out series chapters ago, when Israel would move into an area where there's pagans, they would convert the pagans. Why? Because that would negate all the confusion. If we all follow the same customs and laws, there's no confusion. But what happened was when Israel did that, the nations would then adopt our identity and then enslave us and maintain it themselves as our people.
Right.
That's how the Muslims came about. We taught them Judaism. It said, Islam. Then they enslaved us and became Muslims. Then we taught the white man on this side of the world in America how to live, cultivate the land. Then they conquered us and became Americans, Christians. Then we taught them over there in Spain, converted them over there in Spain and Portugal. They conquered us, became Sephardic Jews. And sold us and confiscated all our wealth and lived there now. So whenever Israel would convert heathens and share our wisdom with the nations, they would overthrow us and maintain or adopt our custom as if it was always their own, when it was not their own. Like this guy on the left over here. That's what we did all the time. Give me that real quick. Give like the strength to a stranger. I forgot I was. Hold on, I guess it's in Sirach.
Oh, give not thy strength.
No, hold on a second. It says author. Author, hold on. It's in the Apocrypha. Sirach.
26:19.
26:19. No, not that one. Yeah, you can get that one. That's not that one. Hold on. It's Baruch 3. Baruch 3. I'm way off. Baruch 3. Sirach is good too. I'm a Baruch though. I'm gonna show y'all what the Lord said not to do. Because Israel's job is to basically teach the nations and convert the nations, yes. But we were to do that while we were ruling. But we did that while we were on the run. We did it while we were still slaves or subjects, servants. So we would try to convert people into our ideals and our culture while still being subject to other people. When we converted nations like John Hyrcanus, he was a king. So Edom had to fall in line because we were ruling at the time. We had sovereignty at the time. That's different. Because all nations, according to the Bible, are going to follow our laws and commandments. The whole world going to be converted. We understand that. But that's when we're ruling. Israel did this while we weren't ruling. And it backfired. Baruch 3 and... Hold on.
And not to mention, Deacon, also in those lands that we were scattered, we became the majority over in those lands.
Right.
Okay, so we pretty much took over those lands, and everybody, like Deacon was bringing out, they just happened to like what we liked, our religion and so forth, our culture, right. Culture vultures.
Yeah, for sure.
Hold on. Baruch 3.
I'm not sure. I think you went 4 and 3.
Is it 4 and 3? Let's
yes.
see. Yes, that's it. Thank you. 4 and 3. Thank you. Baruch 4 and 3. That's it. Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted. 4 and 3. Baruch 4 and 3.
All right. I was happy on. You got it?
Yes, sir.
You got it.
Baruch chapter 4 and verse 3.
Read verse 1.
Baruch chapter 4 verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of God, and the law that endureth forever. And all they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die.
Go ahead.
Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated.
Verse 3.
Give not thine honor to another.
Give not your honor to another. Go ahead.
Nor the things that are profitable unto thee. Nor the things that are unprofitable unto thee to a strange nation.
Give not the things that are profitable unto you to a strange nation. That's what Israel did. That's what we did. And the nations that we gave it to, they took that and they enslaved us with it. And became us. That's what happened. What happened? No, Mike? Headphones out?
I think I'm good. No, I can't hear him.
Like we have a book, History of the Jews, where it says that with Muhammad, because you know Muhammad, he can't read or write. He couldn't read or write, so he employed us, the Jews, to do the reading, to do the writing for him.
Mm-hmm.
So he was given, like the Deacon is bringing out, we was giving away our honor until this demon.
Right.
He employed us to write down how our customs and so forth and so on. He just took it and had us change it into his religion.
Mm-hmm.
Just change it over.
Right.
All right.
So let's go back to the video. Where we at? Stop at 7:49. Go ahead.
Along, we know that they have not had access to primary sources. They have relied mainly on works done by people that did not know the culture and did not know the history very well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's amazing. I spoke alongside you there, and we addressed something very interestingly. Not only did we make it very clear and understandable that there is a connection with the Igbo tribes and the people of Israel. There's a history and it's real, and we're going to move forward doing something together. I also spoke about something which could be a little controversial, which is the Hebrew-Israelite phenomenon in America, where you have descendants of the transatlantic slave trade identifying with being of the children of Israel. Now, can you tell me, in this transatlantic slave trade, was there any Igbo blood?
31% of the African-American population is believed to be of Igbo ancestry.
Pause.
Because Igbo land...
That's a lot. 31% is a lot. There's a lot. So he's saying a lot of those, the children of the slave trade, a lot of Igbos are sold to slaves. He's right. He's absolutely right. The first, of course, the first came from Spain, but you had Igbos that were sold as slaves. It's undeniable. So he's saying there's truth to what we say in the streets. He said controversial. It's not controversial. It's facts. Go ahead.
And suffered more from the slave trade than any other part of Africa. And the Igbos were dumped in places that are presently the United States of America more than in other parts of the Americas.
Mm-hmm. See that? So he said, but Igbos are dumped primarily in most of the Americas, than Central and South America. A lot of Igbos are dumped here in the North.
A majority of them was brought here to Virginia.
Right, majority were brought here to Americas.
They call it's a landing in Virginia called Igbo Landing.
Right.
Igbo Landing.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. That's 750? 7, okay. Keep going. To 1030.
So definitely, a lot of the group identified as African Americans today have Igbo ancestry. The question now is for us to know who and who descended, and a few of them have gone ahead to do their DNA studies. And what we see is that they have Igbo roots. We have T.D. Jakes. We have Forrester Whitaker.
That's very fascinating.
Yeah, T.D. Jakes,
I mean, we know that Israel isn't, like we mentioned before, pure blood only. It doesn't have to be you are a direct descendant of the house of Israel to be part of the house of Israel.
Yes, it does. Stop. See, now he's important as bullshit. I'm sorry, my language. Excuse my language. Now he's important as BS into the conversation. You don't gotta be yes, you do. You're not gonna try to incorporate them. He's trying to incorporate themselves into that. Oh well, you don't have to be blood Israel to be Israel. Yes, you do.
Right. Yeah.
They push you to be converted into a nationality. You cannot. That's BS. And this guy's sitting there listening to that because a lot of our people have been rabbinically evangelized. They're brainwashed.
That's that part of Christianity sinking in now.
That's what's happening. He's just sitting there with his hands folded. Yes. No. Go ahead.
That people can join the house of Israel. But if the 31% of the slave trade you're saying was made up of Igbo, Now today, with all the marrying, everyone marrying each other, we could assume there's Igbo blood scattered throughout the whole African American diaspora.
Very
Is that
true.
correct?
We can assume that because with the intermarriage, they were mixed together. It will be very, very difficult to find an African American that does not have Igbo blood today because the group intermarried.
This is mind-blowing. Now, I'd like to go a little deeper. The African American Hebrew Israelite groups, they identify mainly with this movement. Not mainly, but they say they fulfill a lot of the curses in Deuteronomy in the Bible.
All of them.
That says when God's going to curse the children of Israel if they don't listen. They identify with being from the house of Israel because of those curses.
Yep.
What we're trying to suggest here maybe is that could be true, very well true. That's not the only reason that they are from the children of Israel. If you follow where they actually came from, there is a clear trace. I say there's no smoke without a fire. Look where the slave ships came from. Look where they came from. There's Hebrew Israelite culture. There's
Right.
the people of Israel saying that they're right there.
And Olaude Equiano, whom I'm sure some of them may have had access to, spoke about this and wrote about this as far back as the 17th century. This guy was captured at the age of 9 as a slave. He made his way to England, educated himself, bought his freedom. Once he saw the Jews, he said, "These are the Igbos."
He's making reference to.
Almost said
hold
that
on.
these are the Igbos.
He's making reference to Aluoda Equiano. That's what he's making reference to. So go back to 749 again. That's something you left out. Go to 749 again. Go back to 749 or 747 real quick and go back where he was at. Something left out. Press play that again.
You stop it right there.
Yeah, go ahead, play it.
In other parts of the Americas. So definitely, a lot of the group identified as African Americans today have Igbo ancestry. The question now is for us to know who and who descended, and a few of them have gone ahead to do their DNA studies. And what we see is that they have Igbo roots. We have T.D. Jakes. We have Forrester Whitaker.
Oh, yeah.
That's very fascinating.
Keep going. What number is that?
I mean, we know that Israel
Keep going, 1030. Keep going.
Israel isn't, like we mentioned before, pure blood only. It doesn't have to be you are a direct descendant of the house of Israel to be part of the house of Israel, because the Torah is very clear that people can join the house of Israel.
No.
But if the 31% of the slave trade you're saying was made up of Igbo, now today, with all the marrying, everyone marrying each other, we could assume there's Igbo blood scattered throughout the whole African American diaspora. Is that correct?
We can assume that because with the intermarriage, they were mixed together. It will be very, very difficult to find an African American that does not have Igbo blood today because the group intermarried.
This is mind-blowing. Now, I'd like to go a little deeper. The African American Hebrew Israelite groups, they identify mainly with this movement. Not mainly, but they say they fulfill a lot of the curses in Deuteronomy in the Bible that says when God's going to curse the children of Israel if they don't listen. They identify with being from the house of Israel because of those curses. What we're trying to suggest here maybe is that could be true, very well true. That's not the only reason that they are from the children of Israel. If you follow where they actually came from, there is a clear trace. I say there's no smoke without a fire. Look where the slave ships came from. Look where they came from. There's Hebrew Israelite culture. There's the people of Israel saying that they're right there.
And Olaude Equiano, whom I'm sure some of them may have had access to, spoke about this and wrote about this.
Oh, see, he said his name. Oluwada Equiano. He said his name. Go ahead.
The 17th century. This guy was captured at the age of 9 as a slave. He made his way to England, educated himself, bought his freedom. Once he saw the Jews, he said, "These are the Igbos." He almost said that these are the Igbos. He compared the traditions, compared the culture. Even went as far, I'll be a little bit funny here, he said they wore beards like our ancestors wore their beards.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yes, they say it's a recent phenomenon that the people of Israel shave, but hundreds of years ago was not the case.
Everybody's, in Igbo land, everybody's grandfather had beards.
Igbo land, everyone had beards. The Igbos rocked beards. All right? You kept Israelite culture, including growing beards. Go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to continue.
What number is that? Where we at now? Go ahead.
Continue a little farther, and once we're in controversial topics, maybe to dive a little deeper. Now, Israel and the Igbo people, do we have any history, modern history with each other? I remember you were telling.
Yeah, one's Esau, one's Jacob. That's the history we have together. I wish I was sitting there. I said, yeah, we do have culture. Both of you have the same parents. You came out red, I came out black. That's what happened.
He red as hell too, man.
Yeah. His hair matches his face. Where we at?
1029 D.
All right, go to 10. I'm trying to find. He mentions Gedalia. His accent's so thick. I know he's supposed to say Gedalia. He mentions him. Go to 1045. Hopefully it pops up. I didn't lose it. Hope I didn't miss it. Go to 1045, but stop at 12:15.
1966.
1966 to 1970, the Igbos were in real trouble, and the state of Israel and the world Jewish community helped. There was genocide against the Igbos. People were starving to death. At the end of the day, 3 million starved to death. From our records, the world Jewish community, alongside some other good organizations, contributed a lot of food, and the Israeli pilots made sure that the food was flown to the starving Igbos.
Okay.
And it was, why I said that the history was deep was, prior to that, to the terrible problems, the state of Israel and the Igbos had special relationship. From what we learned, the relationship was deep to the extent that Israel was already had already started setting up a kibbutz in Igbo land before the problems began.
First of all, that's amazing. I'd love to see what happened with that kibbutz, and we should see many more of them.
Yeah.
Now, so you're talking about at a time where Igbo land was considered Biafra, or was once Biafra and was trying to return to Biafra, right?
I'm talking about the period when it became Biafra. Biafra was the name it took up to defend itself against the attacks.
So let's say it was originally called Igbo land.
It was, yeah,
yes,
that's the name it would be called.
And then
I went over this. I went over this in this history class. Igbo land, Negro land, same place. Go ahead.
Saying the British came in and they drew some new lines and said, now it's called Nigeria,
Yep.
and we're taking Igbo land and combining it with your neighboring tribes into one nation.
Yes.
Right, like the Yoruba. The Yoruba, we're going to call it Nigerian. That's what we're going to call it Nigeria. Nigeria is not a name we gave ourselves. That's a British given name. All right, it was Igbo land. That whole area, bottom part of West Africa was Igbo land. And then the top part was land of the blacks, Mauritania, by the Romans. Right. Land of the blacks in the bottom too. JCAT both. Go ahead. That's it? Go to 1219. To 1335.
Similar things we are done in Iraq.
How about here in Israel?
Same thing.
The British came and started drawing lines all over in Afghanistan, where you have the Pashtuns who say they're from the tribes of Israel as well.
Rwanda, wherever you brought peoples together when they didn't necessarily want to be together, it was a time bomb.
So let's go back to this. This created issues for the Igbo people. They were being ruled over by people who weren't from their tribe, who didn't understand, and it wasn't smooth, right?
Yeah, and laws that don't necessarily fit the Igbos are being imposed on the Igbos. For example, our land tenure system is exactly the land tenure system in the Torah. The land belongs to God.
Wow.
And Igbo traditionally does not have the right to sell the land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if he wants to alienate, if he lacks money and wants to alienate land, he calls a family member. To loan him some money. But since we are put into a system that is traditionally not ours,
enslaved,
what happens now is that every land belongs to the governor. So he can take a land that traditionally belonged to God and do away with it.
Okay, that's interesting. And now this was
like here in the Americas. Right. Same thing. Take land God given and give it to themselves. What number is that? Where we at? 31. We're gonna stop at 48. Go ahead.
Where you guys wanted to go back to being independent, with the Igbo people being autonomous, ruling over themselves, which is very justifiable. And you created something called Biafra, which separated you from Nigeria. And then all of a sudden, 3 million people were killed? How did that happen?
That's it.
That's it. Where do we start at? And we start the video from the beginning. Yes, sir. Go to 222 again. I need to go. I need to find that part. He says it. 222. Let it play all the way through.
Sustainably Jewish.
So now I'd like to ask you furthermore. You said that it's not a simple idea that was planted in your mind that you're from the people of Israel. You have oral tradition, and your entire culture reflects Israelite culture, so to say.
Watch this.
Maybe you want to give an example or one or two. Let me ask you a question first of all before you do. a simple thing. Do you circumcise on the 8th day?
Every Igbo is circumcised on the 8th day and has been, the Igbo people have been circumcising their males on the 8th day since immemorial times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And now you have a word for the Torah or for God in your culture?
The Igbo word or the Igbo phrase for the Igbo culture is omenana. If you translate it to English, what you have is things, commandments you observe in the land.
Wow.
That's interesting because when you look at the Torah, a lot of it is based on the actual things that we have to do when we're in the land of Israel.
Yeah. We made sure we retain that so that because the retention of that helped us to observe the commandments.
And now at the time that the Igbo went into exile,
There we go.
I'm trying to put this into perspective of when this happened so we understand what culture they might have retained and what happened in Israel after they left. So this was around the Babylonian exile?
See?
The Igbo were...
Yes. My studies, my probing indicates that we were the group that moved into Egypt, while you were the group that moved into Babylon. We are taken into Babylon.
Right, so historically, this was at the destruction of the first temple before the second temple was built.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And the Jews, quote unquote, the Judeans, were exiled into Babylon, but not 100% of them went into Babylon. We even know some were left in the land,
Right.
but a lot of them were exiled south into Africa as well.
Yeah, the Torah says that a large part of them trying to evade Babylon, which came to exact retribution for the killing of Gedaliah, moved into Egypt.
The killing of Gedaliah. See? The killing of Gedaliah forced them to move further into Egypt, and then they migrated south, and they moved westward. So during the time of Gedaliah's murder, that's how the Igbos began to settle themselves in Africa. Our brothers left into Egypt. We read that earlier. We read that earlier. And I was in what was that in Jeremiah 41?
In verse 17.
In 17, read it again, please.
Jeremiah chapter 41, verse 17. And they departed and dwelt in the habitation of Chiham, which is by Bethlehem, to go to enter into Egypt, because of the Chaldeans, for they were afraid of them, because Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, had slain Gedaliah, the son of Ahiakim, whom the king of Babylon made governor in the land.
So he's saying, based on his studies, that Israel ended up moving into that Igbo land during the time of Babylon. During the time of Babylon. All right? When Gedaliah was killed by Ishmael, of son of Nethaniah. All right? That's the time frame he got there. So a lot of Israel. Now give me what I want to get. More videos. Give me the book by Equiano. This is the book right here. Okay, this is the book, the slave. This is the book that was before Solomon Northup. This is before 12 Years a Slave. This is before Nat Turner. Well, not before Nat Turner, but I know this is a slave narrative here. The Life of Aluoda Equiano. Okay, this is the original copy, because the revised version copy, for some odd reason, which I have, removed certain things. All right, so we're gonna read from here, page 21, XXI, Roman numerals, 21. Okay. Today, interesting narrative of Elio. To start from there.
Today, the interesting narrative of Oluwada Equiano is celebrated as foundational, as foundational text in the American slave narrative genre.
So it's celebrated as foundational, meaning it's no lie. What he's saying here. Go ahead.
African American literary critics and historians have claimed Equiano as an important precursor of this powerful American literary tradition. It does not matter that he served only
a short season.
It does not matter that he served only a short season on an American plantation and chose to live most of his life in Great Britain.
That's what the guy said. He got educated, went to Britain and so forth. Go ahead. Or even
that he was nominally a British subject.
Go ahead.
For most of his century. The 13 North American colonies that became the United States were an integral part of the British Empire in the Western Hemisphere. Closely linked to sister colonies in the West Indies, Central America, and Canada. Furthermore, national identities and distinctions between Britishness and Americanness were not well established in the late 18th century. Indeed, for many black people, then and now, national distinctions between African Americans and Afro-Britons mattered less than the common experiences of displacement, enslavement, emancipation, and racism shared by African peoples throughout the diaspora.
Meaning there's no difference between blacks in America or Europe. They all suffered slavery, pretty much. Because go to the next page. By his own account,
Eluoda Equiano was born in about 1745 in what is now eastern Nigeria.
He was.
It's
a picture of him right there. It's clearly a brother, all right? That's him. He gained status, so I say he's just all sophisticated in this time. Go ahead.
Portrait of a Negro man. He was the youngest of 7 children in a family of high social standing among the Igbo, or Nadibo.
Nadibo, I think it's Nadibo.
Nadibo ethnic group. When he was 10 years old.
The guy said 10 years old. Go ahead.
When he was 10 years old, Equiano and his sister were kidnapped while playing outside the walls of their family compound. He was soon separated from his sister, transported hundreds of miles to the West African coast, and taken as cargo aboard a slave ship bound for the island of Barbados in the West Indies, then on to North America.
So he gives us account of being on a slave ship for you dumb black people that say, oh, the slave ships never existed. There's no evidence of them. Well, his account is proven, foundational. He gives his account of his experience on the slave ship at 10 years old. Go ahead.
After a short term on a Virginia plantation.
Well, he was brought, remember, most of the Igbos are brought to the Americas, North America. He's brought to Virginia. Go ahead.
Equiano was sold to an officer of the British Royal Navy named Michael Henry Paschal, who changed Equiano's name to Gustavus Vasa.
Damn, changed his name to Gustavus Vasa. Like Daniel's name was changed. Like Joseph's name was changed. Like Mattaniah's name was changed. Go ahead.
In honor of a 16th century Swedish king and freedom fighter, Equiano used the name Gustavus Vasa or Vasa in most of his activities and travels throughout his life. As Paschal's personal servant, Equiano Equiano traveled extensively with his master around the Atlantic littoral, the region along the shoreline in Europe and the Americas. Although we typically think of the Africans of the 18th century diaspora as being bound to American agriculture plantations, it is important to recognize that from the 16th century onward, blacks traveled extensively around the Atlantic littoral as participants in important military and commercial endeavors and in revolutionary political movements.
We were involved in all those things. Go ahead.
Some joined the crews of pirate ships.
Some of us joined the pirate ships. Some of us became pirates. Go ahead.
Others were impressed or forcibly recruited into
the naval service. I can cut that off, right? They don't have that, right?
Yes, you good.
Oh, go ahead.
Into naval service during the 7 Years' War or American Revolution. Many worked as wage mariners or unwaged laborers on commercial trading ships. Black sailors often discovered shipboard cultures to be less racially segregated and more radically democratic, and they developed strong alliances with white sailors.
Oh, God. Assimilation. Sailor assimilation. Go ahead.
His fellow sailors taught Equiano to read and write and schooled him in basic principles of arithmetic. These skills were key to his success. In most places, it was illegal to teach a slave to read or write.
He learned to read on the ship. That's all I want. I don't want to go that far. Now go to page 24 and 25. That's a little bit of his background. Now watch this. We're going to go forward. We're going to go backward in time. 24 and 25.
We starting second paragraph.
Page 24. Nope. I'm going to start at I remember many.
Go up. I remember many used to come to see me, and I was carried about to others for that purpose. They had many offerings.
We had many offerings, particularly when?
Particularly at full moon.
We had offerings at full moon. Remember the guy said earlier that the Igbos had traditional customs that go back to Jews. So we had offerings during full moons. Go ahead.
Generally 2 at harvest, before the fruits are taken out of the ground, and when any young animals are killed. Sometimes they offer up part of them as sacrifice.
Sacrificial offerings during full moons. Go ahead.
These offerings, when made by one of the heads of a family.
The head of the family made the sacrifices. Go ahead.
serve for the whole. I remember we often had them at my father's, and my uncles and their families have been present. Some of our offerings are eaten with bitter herbs.
What offering was that? That was a goat or a lamb. We were keeping Passover. The head of the household would go and get a goat or a lamb and sacrifice it. They would all eat it in one house with bitter herbs. That is Passover. Go ahead.
We had a saying among us to anyone of a cross temper that if they were to be eaten, they should be eaten with bitter herbs.
Watch this.
We practiced circumcision like the Jews.
Damn. The Igbos. Go ahead.
And we made offerings of feast on that occasion in the same manner as they did.
Because this guy, he gained wisdom. He studied. So he read about Jews, say, hey, the same customs the Jews, we do. I do the same thing about people. Because they're the same people. The Jews and the Igbos, well, not the Jews today, but the real Israelites, Igbos are the same people. Right. Go ahead.
Like them also.
Like the Israelites also.
Our children were named from some event.
Our children named based upon certain events. Go ahead.
Some circumstance are fancied foreboding.
Like Hosea's son, Jezreel, his daughter, Laruhama or Loami.
Zerubbabel.
Born in Babylon. Go ahead.
At the time of their birth, I was named Olawada, which in our language signifies vicissitude, or fortunate also. One favored, and having a loud voice and well spoken. I remember we never polluted the name of the object of our adoration. On the contrary, it was always mentioned with the greatest reverence, and we were totally unacquainted with swearing.
Foul language. Go ahead.
And all those terms of abuse and reproach which find their way so readily and copiously into the language of more civilized people. The only expressions of that kind I remember were may you rot, or may you swell, or may a beast take you.
That was the most foul language he heard while in this country. That's the worst he's heard. And so, of course, he got different areas who started saying, other things. Go ahead.
I have before remarked that the natives of this part of Africa are extremely clean.
Mm-hmm.
This necessary habit of decency was with us a part of religion.
Being clean, staying clean was part of our religion. Go ahead.
And therefore, we had many purifications and washings.
We had many purifications and washings. That's of God. It's biblical. Go ahead.
Indeed, almost as many, and used on the same occasions, if my recollection does not fail me, as the Jews.
You said the same purifications and washings as the Jews. Go ahead.
Those that touched the dead at any time were obliged to wash and purify themselves before they could enter a dwelling house.
That's the Bible. That's according to the Bible. Go ahead.
Every woman too.
Hold on. Now, in the Revised Version, this part is removed. Why, I don't know. But watch what it says.
Every woman too, at certain times, during menstruation.
When her period, go ahead.
Was forbidden to come into a dwelling house or touch any person or anything we eat.
See that? So they were separated. Watch this.
I was found so fond of my mother, I could not keep from her or avoid touching her at some of those periods.
Watch this. He was so close to his mom, even when she was on her period, he didn't want to leave her. Watch this.
In consequence of which I was obliged to be kept out with her.
He was kept out with his mother. Watch this.
In a little house made for that purpose, till offering was made, and then we were purified.
See that? Going back to the laws of Leviticus. She was put in a separate home until her menstrual was over, and he was unclean because she was touching him, he's touching her. So both of them were separated until they offered sacrifice and to return to everybody else. In the Revised Version of this book, that whole portion is gone. Why? Because that's why we prefer, we tell y'all buy old books. Because some books, old books like this, the original edition, they remove things on purpose.
So we won't have no ties.
No ties.
Link
to them
it up.
Going back to Jews. Where we at?
This paragraph, though we had no places of public worship.
Keep going.
Though we had no places of public worship, we had priests and magicians, or wise men.
They call them magicians. It's wise men. Go ahead. Prophets. Go ahead.
I do not remember whether
the white man called our elders magi or witch doctors, they called them.
Right.
Or magicians. That's a term he's using for white folks come from. Go ahead.
I do not remember.
We did have magicians. We was involved in that witchcraft also. We did have that nonsense going on, so I won't negate that. But go ahead.
I do not remember whether they had different offices or whether they were united in the same person.
Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Somebody get that. Go to Leviticus real fast. Leviticus about his mom and him being separate. Real quick. Leviticus. Let's just go there real fast. Just to show that it's written in the Bible that they had that going on. She couldn't touch anything. What Leviticus 15?
15:24. Or 15:19.
Yeah, 15:19.
Leviticus chapter 15 and verse 19. And if a woman have an issue, and her issue is in her flesh, be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days.
Put apart meaning put in a separate place. That's what he said where his mom was put apart. Go ahead. It says his mom, it says that, what's it that? She was put, it says he was kept out with her. Okay, go ahead. In a little house. Go ahead.
And whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean until the even.
Go ahead.
And everything that she lieth upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sitteth upon shall be unclean. And whosoever toucheth her bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even.
Now jump down to when she's done. Jump down to 27.
Verse 27. And whosoever toucheth those things shall be unclean, and shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even.
28. Watch this.
But if she be cleansed of her issue, then she shall number to herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean.
So now her menstrual's over. Her menstrual's done, right? Watch this.
And on the 8th day she shall take unto her 2 turtles, and 2 young pigeons.
Or 2 young pigeons.
Or 2 young pigeons, and bring them unto the priest to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her before the Lord for the issue of her uncleanness.
Boom. Going back to offering was made, then we were purified, like he said in the book. That's what he's going into the law of Leviticus. That's what he's talking about. All right? Where we at? Go to though we had no places of public worship.
Though we had no places of public worship, we had priests and magicians or wise men.
The priests were the ones who accepted the offering. That's the priest there. Go ahead.
I do not remember whether they had different offices or whether they were united in the same persons, but they were held in great reverence by the people.
They were the leaders. Go ahead.
They calculated our time.
They calculated our time.
And foretold events.
They prophesied things to come.
As their name imported, for we called them Weka, which signifies calculators, or yearly men. Our year being called Afo. They wore their beards.
They wore their beards. Come on, man. They wore their beards. Go ahead.
And when they died, they were succeeded
by.
They were succeeded. That's not it.
May not have it. That's all right if you don't have it.
Yeah.
They were succeeded by their sons. By their sons. They were succeeded by their sons. Like the law says.
The priest, right?
Aaron, the priest. All right, now get a chapter page. We ain't got much time. Go to page 30. We're gonna end on this book. Page 30.
Such is the imperfect sketch my memory has furnished me with of the manners and customs of a people among whom I first drew my breath.
His own people. Go ahead.
And here I cannot forbear suggesting what has long struck me very forcibly, namely the strong analogy, which even by this sketch, imperfect as it is, appears to prevail in the manners and customs of my countrymen and those of the Jews. Before they reached the land of promise, and particularly the patriarchs, while they were yet in that pastoral state, which is described in Genesis, an analogy, which alone would induce me to think that the one people has sprung from the other.
I would believe that the Jews and my people sprang from the same people based upon my life, my country, living there, the customs. I would be convinced that the Jews, or the customs found in the Bible, And the people who come out the Bible are my people, are the same. Jews and Igbos, because they are the same people. Go ahead.
Indeed, this is the opinion of Dr. Gill, who, in his commentary on Genesis, very ably deduces the pedigree of the Africans from Afar and Afra, the descendants of Abraham, by Keturah his wife and concubine. For both these titles are applied to her.
That's his thought, which is wrong, but that's his opinion. He doesn't know that he comes from Israel. He's assuming that he comes from Keturah, Abraham's concubine, which is wrong. He don't come from that. And Africa doesn't come from that word, those words. Go ahead. Africa's a Latin word. Go ahead.
It is also conformable to the sentiments of Dr. John Clark, formerly Dean of Sarum, in his Truth of the Christian Religion. Both these authors concur in describing to us this original.
They agree to this, what I just said. Go ahead.
The reasonings of those gentlemen are still further confirmed by the scripture chronology of the Reverend Arthur Bedford. And if any further corroboration were required, this resemblance in so many respects is a strong evidence in support of the opinion.
Go ahead, watch this.
Like the Israelites in their primitive state, our government was conducted by our chiefs.
See that? So he agrees with these guys saying that he comes from Abraham, but the wrong son. Then he goes back and says that like the Israelites, my people's government was ruled by chiefs or priests. Go ahead. Our
judges, our wise men, and elders, and the head of a family with us enjoy a similar authority over his household with that which is ascribed to Abraham and the other patriarchs.
So like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, my country was ruled the same way. Ruled by the same leaders, figures as them, like them. It was a patriarchy in Africa. This matriarch nonsense in America is confusion. These feminizing stuff is garbage. Go ahead.
The law of retaliation obtained almost universally with us as with them. And even their religion appeared to have...
The law of retaliation means eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. That law was instituted among the Igbos as well. The law of retaliation. Go ahead.
And even their religion appeared to have shed upon us a ray of its glory, though broken and spent in its passage, or eclipsed by the cloud with which time, tradition, and ignorance might have enveloped it. For we had our circumcision, a rule, I believe, peculiar to that people.
Right. I mean, it was taking place the 8th day. Same exact custom. Go ahead.
We had also our sacrifices and burnt offerings, our washings and purifications on the same occasions as they had.
Feast days. Daily, annually. We had freaking purifications, sacrifices as they had. Priests as they had. Men ruled as they had. Chiefs of governments as they had. Go ahead.
As to the difference of color between the Igbo Africans and the modern Jews.
So as to the difference of color between the Igbo Africans and the modern Jews during his time as so-calleds. Go ahead.
I shall not presume to account for it.
I don't know why. I don't know why we're different. From what he understands, the Jews and Igbos are the same. But as to why one's black and one's white, I don't know. That's what he's saying. Go ahead.
It is a subject which has engaged the pens of men of both genius and learning, and is far above my strength.
I can't begin to explain that. But guess what? We know why there's white and black ones. One's the imposter, one's not. Go ahead.
The most able and reverend Mr. T. Clarkson, however, in his much admired essay on the slavery and commerce of the human species, has ascertained the cause in a manner that at once solves every objection on that account, and on my mind at least, has produced the fullest conviction. I shall therefore refer to that performance for the theory, contenting myself with extracting a fact as related by Dr. Mitchell. The Spaniards who have inhabited America under the torrid zone for any time are become as dark-colored as our native Indians of Virginia.
He's going by, no, don't bomb for that. Don't even bomb for that. He was bombing at the wrong time. What he's saying is that the Spaniards got darker like Native Americans based upon where they lived. He's trying to say that the Jews got dark living in Africa, and the modern Jews moved to Europe, they got whiter. That's his thought, which is wrong.
That's my fault, D. The way I read it.
The way you read it like
yeah,
because
he said because they go off of how
you're reading it. Yeah, no. He's going by your environment changes you, which is nonsense. Go ahead. Yeah, he's speaking out of ignorance. He doesn't know. Go ahead.
Of which I myself
Have been a witness.
Have been a witness.
And he's seeing white folks get a little darker, living in darker climates. Go ahead.
There's also another instance of a Portuguese settlement at Matamba, a river in Sierra Leone, where the inhabitants are bred from a mixture of the first Portuguese discoverers with the natives, and are now become in their complexion and in the woolly quality of their hair, perfect Negroes, retaining, however, a smattering of the Portuguese language.
All right, so it's going into black. Now give me who's that? Hold on, 31. Go to page 49. Page 49. You ain't got much time. Page 49 real quick. And we're going to go to page 54 after that. We're going to wrap it up.
All the nations and people I had hitherto passed through resemble our own in their manners.
So he's saying when he was taken captive to the coast to be sold in the ship, he passed through Africa. So as he was passing through Africa, the interiors of Africa, where he was to the coast, to the ships, all right, he ran across different nations that were in his own, resembled his own in their manners. Go ahead. Read again.
All the nations and people I had hitherto passed through resemble our own in their manners, customs, and language.
Go ahead.
But I came at length to a country, the inhabitants of which differed from us in all those particulars.
Because these were Hamites. So he's being taken captive and walking through Africa, being walked through there as a slave, captive. He's seeing other villages he wasn't familiar with of people that were doing the same thing that Igbos are doing, that were our people as well. But then after he went further in, he encountered Hamites or Africans that were not doing what his people would normally do. Because they were not Ham, they were not Jake, they were Ham. Watch this.
They cooked also. Let me see. I was very much struck with this difference, especially when I came among a people who did not circumcise and ate without washing their hands.
Because we did. Watch this.
They cooked also in iron pots and had European cutlasses and crossbows.
Because they were selling us and obtaining weapons from white folks for selling us, along with the Arabs. Go ahead.
Which were unknown to us.
We didn't know about that. Go ahead.
And fought with their fists among themselves.
Go ahead.
Their women were not so modest as ours.
Their women were not so modest as ours, because our women were what? Covered up. These Hamites women were walking around with everything hanging out. That's what he's saying.
With plates around their lips.
Plates in their lips and bones in their nose. That's Ham. Go ahead.
In some of those places, the people ornamented themselves with scars.
See? That's Leviticus. That's the Canaanites. That's the Canaanites in them. In this area here, they will cut themselves with scars. That's their tattoos, tribal markings. Now, among our people, we did practice this, some of us, because we learned from these heathens that were here.
Right.
And we adopted some of those customs also. Go ahead.
And likewise, filed their teeth very sharp.
And they would file their teeth. You know why? Because they were cannibals. They were eating us.
The hell is this?
They filed their teeth. Take them sharp. Go ahead.
They wanted sometimes to ornament me in the same manner, but I would not suffer them.
Because he sat among them. Go ahead.
Hoping that I might sometime be among a people who did not thus disfigure themselves, as I thought they did.
Go ahead.
At last, I came to the banks of a large river, which was covered with canoes, in which the people appeared to live with their household utensils and provisions of all kinds. I was beyond measure astonished at great abundance.
That's it. Go to page 50, page 54. So I was showing that there was the difference between us and other Hamites that were in the land. Go to page 54 now. When he's on the ship, go to when I looked around the ship too. Last thing here. 54.
53. You don't have 54.
How? I didn't say 53. I said 54.
Here, I'll read it from the book.
I said 54. I don't say 53. I don't want 53. 49 and 54.
Page 54. When I looked around the ship too, and saw a large furnace or copper boiling, and a multitude of black people of every description
on the ship. Watch this.
Chained together.
We were chained together on the ship. He's describing what he saw in the ship. Go ahead.
Every one of their countenances expressing dejection and sorrow.
We were sad. Go ahead.
I no longer doubted of my fate, and quiet, overpowered with horror and anguish.
We were sad. He realized that based upon their expressions on their face, we were heading to hell, captivity. Go ahead.
I fell motionless on the deck and fainted.
He passed out. Go ahead.
When I recovered a little, I found some black people about me, who I believe were some of those who brought me on board.
So wait, stop. Our people were wicked as hell. Some of our people were involved in raiding or infiltrating our own villages, kidnapping their own children of their own people and selling them. But there was a drawback. Once they were successful in capturing enough slaves to give to the Africans, to give to the white man, they too were also sold as slaves. That's why I always ask the question, where are the black folks walking around today with old money? There are none, because any Negroes who were in a minor scale involved in slave trading, they too were also overthrown and enslaved themselves. Period. Go ahead, read again.
When I recovered a little, I found some black people about me, who I believe were some of those who brought me on board.
Who brought me on board? Go ahead.
And had been receiving their pay.
And have received their pay. Go ahead.
They talked to me in order to cheer me.
They try to cheer me up. It's going to be all right. Everything's going to be okay. We work for these guys. Go ahead.
But all in vain.
But it was a waste of time. Because they didn't realize what was going to happen when they got them ships. Go ahead.
I asked them if we were not to be eaten by those white men.
If we were not to be what?
Eaten by those white men.
Are these white people going to eat us? Go ahead.
With horrible looks.
With their horrible looks towards us. Go ahead.
Red faces.
Their what?
Red faces.
We weren't confused about what they look like. With their red faces.
And long hair.
And long hair. So our forefathers understood that this man was not white, he was red. That's what we called them. They're red faces. Are they on that?
Yes. They told me I was not.
These red guys aren't going to eat you.
And one of the crew bought me a small portion of spirituous liquor in a wine glass.
I gave him liquor. The 10-year-old boy liquor. Go ahead.
But being afraid of him, I would not take it out of his hand. One of the blacks, therefore, took it from him and gave it to me. And I took a little down by Pilate, which, instead of reviving me, as they thought it would, threw me into the greatest consternation at the strange feeling it produced, having never tasted any liquor before.
Made him sick because he was little. 10-year-old boy drinking liquor. That's all I want. So he's giving you his experience on the slave ship. Who he saw, what he saw, and those who were trying to, those sellout niggas who are involved in snatching up their own people for the Africans and the white man, they got sold too. They got sold as well. That was on a minor scale. So even the ones who sold, give me Exodus real quick, Exodus 22, real quick, and wrap it up on that. So God don't play with us. We try to be evil. But this law applies to us, not other nations. It applies to us first and foremost, then other nations. Read that.
First Exodus 22.
Exodus 22, is it 21 or 22:16? 21:16.
Exodus chapter 21, verse 16. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death.
See? That was a law written for us not to do, because Israel was evil as hell. We were doing that. The New Testament says men stealers. Same thing. Even today, you got wicked-ass Negroes doing child trafficking, involving that in Africa, they're doing over in Europe. Our people are wicked bastards. A lot of us are wicked bastards. A lot of us. So the Jakes that he claims may have been involved in snatching them up with his sister, they were on a ship right along with him. Because they were not Hamites. They were Jake like him. Yeah. So they suffered the same fate. What's the scripture say? You reap what you sow. Mm-hmm. Live by the sword, die by the sword. You enslaved, you will be enslaved. It's that clear. God is a just judge. So if I got something on that topic, hope y'all enjoyed the lesson. We're going to continue Lord's Road next week with the encyclopedia and some more details, all right? So, shalom. Announcements.
Hey, Israel, let's give Deacon another hand for that class. That thing was fire. All praise to the Most High.
All
praise. Israel, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share our Hidden History Radio YouTube channel. All right, you're gonna be tuning in from us from that page until further notice. So let's share, hit the notifications so you'll know when we go live, and always stay up to date. You can always recap with the videos that Deacon's already brought out on that page, all right? Also, don't forget to donate. If you like the show, you like what you see, we're always looking to improve the show and grab more books for the Deacon to bring out to all Israel. You can donate on PayPal to iuic.philadelphia@israelunite.org. Once again, iuic.philadelphia@israelunite.org. Also, don't forget to donate to the Booster Club so the leadership can continue to travel and spread this word, which you can donate on PayPal once again on iuic.fundraising@israelunite.org, iuic.fundraising@israelunite.org. With that, hey, shout out to Captain Joel. Lord's will, you feeling better. Also, shout out to Officer Haim, Officer Quack, we miss you. Lord's will, we see you guys soon. With that, I think that's it, Officer Jess.
Yeah, so we like to say, hey, I think we're going to be going live from this page, I think, from now on. So we want to make sure, Israel, please make sure y'all share this page. All right? Like he just brought out, like, subscribe. Hit the like button. Hit that button. All right? So just share the page as much as y'all can. All right? With that, Deacon.
Don't say shalom. Lord's will. Hopefully we'll present more books that you guys contributed to the show. We will present those books as the topic allows. As the topic calls for it, we will eventually present those books to y'all and to show how important they are to be used for the edifying of the lesson, all right? So stay tuned for those books to be presented soon, all right, when we get further into the captivities. With that, we say shalom, Most High Christ bless.
Shalom, Most High Christ.
Oh, snap. Shout out to the IT team and shout out to the breakfast team as well. Shalom.
Searching for the road to the way back. We don't know our father's going way back. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We the chosen people, you say no way. Enemies are teaching you the wrong way. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.